this button. All right, starting in. Oh, I guess I got to do this part too.
Now recording.
All right, here we go. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, how's it going this evening? It is January 30th, 2020. This is Loose Screws. And for the first time that I can think of, I got every stream working and the recording going without problems. So
Yeah.
it's a miracle. I know. It's only taking me 22 episodes to get every damn thing right. So, with me this evening is my co-pilot and community awesome dude, Commander Kai. How's it going this evening, brother?
Fantastic, brother. I'm flying spaceships. Life is good.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. And Dravenos is handling some real life issues. He might join us a little later. If he does, great. If not, we'll just catch him next time. No big deal. But with us also is, of course, JN Tracks. How's it going there, man?
Excellently. Thanks for asking.
In case.
And by the way, that title for Kai is canon now.
Is that right?
Yeah. Locked in.
So JN Tracks is our audio awesome engineer. Then that is canon now as well. So.
Right on.
Hey, I'm the community awesome, dude. That's
the
pretty
community
awesome.
So, real quick, Tracks. Last few episodes, I've been plugging your website, and I apparently have been telling the wrong website.
No. I thought it better just send everybody, if you want to know stuff that I do, jntracks.com, same as my commander name, easy peasy, nothing to worry about.
So
appreciate the plugs.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you're doing free audio work for us, like, and that's what he does for a living, like, and I work on computers for a living. I'm not working on computers for free. So it's super cool that he does that for us, and he does audio engineering stuff. He has his own podcast called The Tone Control. It's super cool that he does that.
I thought it was just brave of him to do a whole show about the career of Tone Loc.
I didn't think there was that much content.
I mean, he makes it work every week.
Oh man! So, also, last week, was it last week as EGS joined us, or was it the week before? It was last week.
Last week.
Man, these weeks are running together. So, Commander Exigeus joined us, and I just want to mention edtutorials.com. He was nice enough to give us a mention on that website. Keep an eye on that website. There's a few other things that are coming in the mix. You should also keep an eye on that website because it is a great place for information if you don't know how to do something in the game. He's got videos there. He's got guides there. If you don't know how to do something and it's not on that website, I mean, holler at us. If you're in Discord, you can probably holler at Exigeus, and I'm sure he'll want recommendations on stuff that you don't know about. So, but like I said, you can always ask us first because more likely we have a guide that we know about too. So, other thing is we had a squadron channel creation in our Discord this week called Squadron BGS Orders. So I am inviting everybody of all the squadrons from Leviathan Regiment to anything else to post their weekly squadron orders in there. And if anybody wants to participate and help out that squadron, even if you're not a member of the squadron, you want to go help them out, post them in there and go help them. It's good. It's fun to do. Like I said, you don't necessarily have to be a member of that squadron to help. And the one thing I ask is to keep it civil. If you're at war with an opposing faction, remember it's a video game. It's not life. So, but if you want to, a little smack talk's okay because that's just part of the fun. But keep it civil. So, anything else on that, gentlemen?
No, just remember, it's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
Other thing I want to mention is that we have an in-game squadron, and it is called Loose Screws Podcast. And we don't have any pending applications, but if you want to join us, feel free to. I'm just going to say this. Right now, we are ranked 69 in CQC, 58 in Xeno Defense, 150 in Trade, and 213 in Combat. The Xeno Defense and CQC, I'm feeling I'm doing some of that this weekend. I'm feeling that. It'd be cool to break the top 50. That's all I got to say. It'd be really cool for the
Yeah,
little.
we had no pending applications because we just went through and cleared it up. But I mean, it's a brand new squadron, but it's growing fast.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: if you have a squadron and you're with your squadron, that's completely fine. We are not trying to get you to leave your squadron.
I am.
Enjoy the show, and stay with your buddies and tell your buddies about our show. But if you don't have a squadron and you're out there feeling lonely, just drifting through the galaxy, and you're like, man, I wish I had some people to chat with and some random shit to do that would kind of give me a point to something, then come on over and see what we got and, have some fun with us.
Yeah. All right. So sorry, had a brain fart there. All right. So I
Did
think
I lose connection?
So most of us, well, I was wanting to see where people are actually watching us right now. Um, we got some people on Twitch watching us, and we got some people on YouTube watching us. So that's super cool. Um,
Hello.
um, but we're also on Mixer. Mixer, and I took me Mixer. I have never been a big fan of anything that tries to copy anything else. However, Mixer is was super cool to set up, and it was worked beautifully. And hey, we're just gonna make it all easy, and look at all the cute little buttons you can do, and here's some little things you can click and make it easy. And Twitch was like, hey, here's some cool things you can do to make your life a little bit easier. And we got a few little irritations about how we do things, but overall it's a good thing. And YouTube's a
Hey,
struggle.
hey, let's edit this just a little bit.
No, YouTube is a struggle to set up, but it is a good place for videos. So, anyway,
Yeah.
so before we get down into the nitty gritty of Elite Dangerous, Sunday is a pretty big day for the United States
Bum, 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 bum.
because it is Super Bowl Sunday. Now, I'm not the biggest football follower, and I don't think Kai is either, and I have no idea about tracks. But I wanted to know if you guys had any picks for the Super Bowl.
100% Kansas City over the Niners.
Well, that saves me the trouble of Googling which teams are playing, I guess.
So look, I'm not saying I'm a fan of either team. It is what it is. I would take Kansas City, but I mean, here's the thing: it'll be a good game. Go out, have a few beers, throw the football around, and squish some people. Like whatever.
Yeah. It's it's a I have kind of weird feelings about it because on the one hand, I really want Kansas City to win because I really hate the 49ers because at heart I'm a Cowboys fan and oh my gosh, I do not want another team to have 6 Super Bowls or 6 wins in the Super Bowl. So I would like that to remain at 2 teams right now because Cowboys got to win the next 2 so they can get back on top. So, um, I mean they won't. They'll break my heart again, but whatever. Um, and the other thing is that Patrick Mahomes is from White House, Texas, which is literally 20 miles down the road from me. I watched this kid play high school football, and I remember him playing high school football. So I would like to see him win the Super Bowl. I think that's really cool.
That's pretty neat.
Uh, that being said, I actually think San Francisco is going to win because I think their defense is really stout. And I don't think Kansas City's defense is going to be able to hold up to the tiny little bit of offense that Kansas City can output or 49ers can output. Sorry, brain fart there.
I I don't know. I mean, I'm not the hugest Andy Reid fan from from his time in Philly, but
Right.
like whatever. I think Kansas City is going to take it on the day, and I think they're going to take it convincingly. There's so Super Bowls go one of two ways. It either looks like, you know, an amazing team against like a Pop Warner team,
Hmm.
or it's a tight game. I don't even think this one's going to be a tight game, man. I think it's, well, whatever. I think we have a whole lot of space nerds right now that are like, what are you talking about? The ball with the foot? Like, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's
Let's how about we move into
yeah,
space?
yeah, we're moving
Yeah.
on. Yeah, we can get
All right.
yeah. So, um, that's
But Kansas
all.
City.
And anyway, yeah, honestly, go Kansas City because I do want them to win. I don't think they will. But anyway, moving on. Man, so what is everybody up to, or what have you been up to this week, Kai, in the game, man?
So I've been doing some Thargoid killing. I've been doing some engineering on Thargoid killing ships. Um, and work's been kicking my butt a little bit. I haven't got a chance to do as much combat as I wanted. I made a comment, and I think it got a laugh from everyone. I'm saying it now. I'm saying it clearly, and I'm saying it for the record. By the 4th of July, I will be combat elite. So when the 4th of July comes around, if everyone else is right and I'm wrong and I'm not combat elite, everyone remind me of this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So that's me. What
That's a
about
long
you?
road.
What about you, Ty? What some of your interesting exploits? I know that you just got a new something, a little something just recently, in the
Yeah,
last 20 minutes.
yeah. So I've been playing this game for quite a while, and like launch day, quite a while, and I was not aware that the Thargoid bobblehead was even a thing, which is one of the reasons why I really love this game because I'm constantly surprised. But hey, here's something new that you didn't know about that has always existed. So last night, I think it was a couple days ago, I learned of the Thargoid bobblehead. And so last night, Dubs and Chig and Raxla Smaxla, and I think you were there too, Kai. We've been fighting Thargoids and collecting hearts, and Raxla Smaxla and uh, Dubs
Dubs.
was good enough to spend a large portion of their day getting me 10 meta alloys. And I was able to acquire this today because of the heart and meta alloys. And if you don't have this, it's super cool to get. I did not have one before now, and I was so I just did not know it existed, and I'm so happy that I got it now because it's this is kind of like one of the World of Warcraft things that you get that you kind of earn. And I have easily so back when I was working on elite combat elite rank, I did the math and I needed something like 4,400 um, scouts, Thargoid scouts, to be able to hit combat elite, and that's what I hit combat elite on. Well, I did come back for a little bit and do some hunting or uh, bounty hunting, but I did mostly Thargoid scouts, and I never even tried for this. So to get it now is really cool. So thank you, Dubs. Thank you, Raxlos Maxla, and thank you, Chig, for helping me. So I appreciate
And
that.
Congratulations.
to be 100% accurate on it, Raxless Maxla spent like hours and did 90% of the work. Dubs
Mm-hmm.
swooped in at the end, but we're gonna give him full credit because yesterday was his birthday. So big happy birthday shout out to Dubs, the man.
Happy birthday, Dubs.
Happy birthday, man. Thank you so much, too. And Raxla, I really thank you very much for that.
And
Um,
we gotta get Dubs in here soon to talk about some combat stuff, man, because he's a very very cool dude. Would
well,
be fun.
I was about to say, we decided in our meeting the other night that we're going to make Dubs our February commander that we're going to bring in and just talk about. Thank you, the Texas, for the congratulations. Uh, but yeah, so we're gonna get him in on one of the show one day this week. We need to talk with him and get that scheduled. So, but we will. Um, so we're gonna do things a little bit different on the show this week because Commander DJ Wiley sent us an email about a month ago now, and we went over part of it 2 weeks ago, I think. Um, and we put it off last week because we ran really long with Exegius. Not complaining, but I just didn't want to have a 4. I didn't want to have a 4-hour long episode, so because we could have talked about some of this for forever. So we're going to talk about DJ Wiley's email to start with because there's a lot of good stuff in here.
Absolutely.
Some of it, like the mining stuff, we're going to skip over because it doesn't really apply no more. It was at the end of the tweaked episode. You're right. Let's see here. I think we left off at like number 7.
We did.
So, so this is about balance adjustments to the game that he wants to see made. And I'm going to make a copy of this track so you have it, but I can only send it as a freaking image because it's in Discord now, so in the crew chat. So, all right. Number 7, is there a reason to use the trade route function on the galaxy map? I can't think of a time I have needed to use it. Regular trading is just not a viable way to make credits. Maybe it was buffed somehow, or if mining didn't count towards trade elite, it'd be more meaningful. So we're going to take this in chunks to begin with. The trade route function on the galaxy map. Does anybody besides me use that?
So very few people really use that because, to be honest with you, it's a little clunky. It's a little questionable on the information, and third-party resources, Inara and EDDB.io, just do a much better job of sort of providing the functionality with more up-to-date information.
Yeah, I've never felt I've never seen it show more than 1 or 2 jumps around, and it doesn't seem to be the information I would really want if I was trying to trade effectively.
There
It
are
doesn't
some
seem detailed or
changes.
fully fledged enough.
Now, there are some changes coming to that as early as tomorrow that we'll discuss later in the episode. But
Right.
yeah.
So for me, I actually use it fairly often. And I know this sounds weird, but the reason why is because VR. Getting out of VR, and I know I have a window I can use and all that, but moving around in VR to where I can search like EDDBIO or something is kind of clunky when I'm just doing trading stuff, and I much prefer to use the in-game thing. Now, that being said, I do feel like the data is not very accurate. It is kind of clunky to use, but it's less clunky than getting out of VR and all that. So.
Well, okay, so I've literally never used. I've turned it on and I see the lines arcing back and forth between stars. But I don't even know how to read that, like, because I've always looked at it and gone, well, I just want the highest sell price of whatever I'm carrying, so I'm going to go on a third party tool to find that, So what would I do? So if I've got a hold full of something, what do I do on the galaxy map to give me some useful information?
So I'm kind of going through it right now on Twitch. So what I do is I do show trade routes and show all, and then I find what commodity I'm looking for in regards to the import price. So let's say I'm looking for, well, let's just do they have it? Is void opals a metal, or is it like minerals? That's
I
what it
don't know.
is.
They always say minerals.
Yeah. Well, we'll just look
But
at.
it doesn't matter. Do beryllium,
Yeah, beryllium, or bauxite or whatever. All right. So basically it's saying that the blue stuff is where you want to import to. So, for instance, in between what is this Harigi system here and HIP 12155, that's a good way. Like this would be a good trade route here for you. So,
Okay.
That's another thing you can do. I'm not docked at the station right now. Let me turn around and dock at the station real quick. Another thing you can do is when you're at the station and you're looking at the commodity panel, you can there's two little yellow circles you can click, and then you choose the station you want to trade at, and it'll tell you what the value of all the different items are for stations that are within whatever range it says. Now I have no idea about the range. I don't know what it considers to be in your range of gathering data. So I know it goes off stations you've been to or star systems you've been to recently.
You can also purchase data, right?
You can, and you have to do that from the galaxy map, which is
Right.
again a little clunky. I wish they put it all. What we need, honestly, is a full-blown trade window, like an actual trading
Mm.
market thing that actually works together in one box. We don't need like this because you have to go from the galaxy map and you have to go to the commodity screen inside of the station. It's clunky, and we need our commodities market. So these were the two circles I was talking about here. Now let's just say I'm gonna pick Maya Point in the system Maya. So basically, these are all the things. I'm go to the sale here. These are all the things. So I could ship them liquid oxygen, and per ton, I can make 510 credits. I can ship them CMM composites, and per ton, I can make 910 credits. Here's one right here: gold, 1130 credits. Palladium, but you get the idea.
So,
Mhm.
so last week, Obsidian Ant put out a really good video that discussed this specific topic. The fact that that whole tool set is kind of a little clunky. It's a little out of date. It's a little underwhelming, and he also showed footage. He showed concept art that was released during the Kickstarter and in previous dev talks or whatever that showed a full page panel that showed the commodity, that showed market history, that showed a much more sort of comprehensive area of the galaxy and different market interactions and what have you. And he basically posed a question like, hey, this was a thing that you've shown us that you had sort
Mm.
of played around with. We'd like more like that. And it sounds like that's what you guys are both coming around to, is that, something like that would be a good thing
Yeah.
and in future development.
Yeah. Well,
Seems like what they have is like hard. It's both hard to use and not very comprehensive on what it can do for you. So
yeah.
it's just like either way, you're just gonna save your time and hop on over to one of the other sites.
Um. So the statement he makes here. Well, let me say one other thing real quick. So there was a concept art that FTF put out for a trade screen that we've never seen in game, and I wish I could find it. If I find it, I'll link it in Discord later.
That it was
That's what
that's what
Kai
I'm
was just
talking
talking
about.
about.
That was in the Obsidian Ant video.
Oh, was he linking? Was he linking the exact same one? I didn't realize it was the
He
exact same one.
literally
So my
in
bad.
his video, yeah, he showed that picture of it was a commodity, and then it showed the like a picture of the commodity at the top, and then it had like a brief paragraph on what the commodity is and like places where you would find it and what have you.
I
And
got you.
underneath that there was a bar graph of the history of sales of that commodity, and below
Mm.
that there were like a listing of all the stations and their interactions with that commodity.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I remember you saying that, but my brain wasn't making the connection that it was the same one. So
No, because you were digging for the picture at that point.
exactly. Yeah,
You're already
exactly.
doing your research. Dude, I've been there a million times for sure. I get it.
All right, all right. So the statement. So DJ Wiley says regular trading is just not a viable way to make credits. Maybe it was buffed somehow, or if mining didn't count towards trade elite. So there's kind of two things here. I think trading is viable to make credits. I think you can earn credits making trades. A good example is the rare trade system. I bought my first Anaconda off of rare trades. Um, I bought my vet off of rare trades the very first time. You can, standard trading. I, who was it in our group? Was it Meg? I think it was Meg that bought her vet. I'm sorry, her cutter or his cutter off of just trading.
I believe that it was Meg 81. Yeah, uh he got his trade elite. So I think he actually got expiration first and then
Mm-hmm.
trade, and he did it through straight trading.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the yeah, the thing to keep in mind there, DJ, is like, so in the time that he's been playing and what he's been doing, for the last, oh, I don't know, almost a year, for the last 8 months or whatever, mining has been so much the king, the pinnacle of earning money in this game compared to anything else, that I can definitely see a person feeling like there's no point to doing anything else. You just mine. But if this last 2 weeks has taught us anything, it's that this game is cyclical, and the gold rush for 8 months, the gold rush was mining. But before that, the gold rush was, Robigo, and before that, the gold rush was skimmers, and before that, it was this kind of trading or that kind of mission or this kind of whatever. And they've said that are more balanced passes coming. Obviously, we've seen in the last 2 weeks massive hits to earning potential in mining, and sort of, who knows if that's even going to how that's going to play out, because there's going to be more changes to come in the future and the market's going to settle. But based off the fact that the key telling factor here is that it is a permanent change that they're sticking to, based on what we've heard today, that the mining is going to be further modified by what's in your cargo. Mining's taking a little bit of a hit. So who knows if 3 months from now or 6 months from now or in 2020 paid update in December, if they come out with some new massively buffed, way to earn credits by doing combat or by doing trade or by doing passenger missions. All of these tools, they exist in a universe, and there's constant flux between going through this method or that method of earning money, but the tools still need to work so that when the good thing is something else, you're able to use it effectively.
So, with that being said, combat, I feel like, needs some sort of credit buff, and uh, I've kind of felt this for years. But with the with with just doing normal trading, if you're not really in a huge trading ship, you can't really make a lot of money. So maybe there's something to be said about, maybe there needs to be a way that you can play the market a little bit better to where you can make more money that way. Like, and I'm not talking about just like going mining and getting stuff there and doing that. Like actually taking minerals to a refinery or something. I think that they mentioned that in the patch notes. We'll talk about in a little bit. But the next thing he says here is maybe if mining was buffed somehow, or if mining didn't count towards trade elite, it would be more meaningful. I hit trade elite when I turned in void opals, and I wasn't really trying for trade elite. I was actually just trying to make money. Um, I wasn't really paying attention. Really, the only elites I worked on to actually earn was combat and explorer. Uh, so I kind of hear what you're saying on this. There's something to be said about, uh, because with the amount of with the value of void opals and painite and low temperature diamonds, they did kind of lower the value of trade elite. Um, but I think they
because
did
it was
that
credit based.
right. I think you can make 1 billion credits, or like 950 million or something like that, total before you hit it. Um, but I think they kind of did that because they kind of gave everybody an opportunity to get access to all the ships, to get access to all the modules. And I think they did that because they're setting us up for the next step, kind of, and whatever's in the
Could be.
2020. So, um,
Yeah, I mean, we discussed that last week, and my feeling was that, yeah, they gave us access to all the money, so that we could play with all the toys, because that's how they make real money. Is when I get a new, oh my God, I just got an Anaconda or I just got a Corvette. Well, I'm gonna go buy a paint job for that thing. And then that's how they, pay their mortgages. So like, yeah, for sure. They want us to have access to the money, but a way to get around that, if you feel like it is nerfed or whatever, would be to push back the total amount of credit, needed to get that trade elite. But and that's a whole separate issue though, but that does not help out DJ Wiley's concern of, he's saying, for those people that choose to go the trading route as opposed to the mining route, if you make it now that you need twice as much money to get trade elite, that just means that poor DJ Wiley would be space trucking a whole lot longer to get that same result. So I think it's just with regard to trade elite, you just have to get that it's like there's different ways to make money, and in much like in the real world, you sort of have an obligation. If what your goal is to just try to earn money or earn elite, and you want to do it as efficiently as possible, you have to look at all the methods, see what is the smartest and the fastest right now, and engage in that method. Now, you don't have an obligation to do that. You can just relax and keep on space trucking if that's what floats your boat. But you can't sort of say, I want to do this, I don't want to do that, but I want this to be worth more money. I mean, you can say that as far as like what you want, but you can't expect that you're going to get it. It's always in this game, it tilts this way or that way with whatever the gold rush is. And hopefully, I agree with you, Ty. I'd like to see combat be the gold rush for a while. Hopefully, come December 2020, there's a balance pass. But I guarantee you, when I say there's a balance pass, there will never be balance. This is a game. It's full of gamers, and gamers will find the absolute most efficient route to do something lazy. So that means if the new best way to do it is skimmers, or the new best way to do it is combat, or the new best way to do it is rare trading, or whatever it is, everyone will rush like locusts to that new way and do it that way. So you just have to learn whatever the best way is right now, if you want to do it efficiently, and do it that way as best as you can.
Right.
Otherwise, if you're not in a hurry and you're just having fun with it, then you do you and don't worry about the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Number 8, modules and weapon rebalance. I won't go into too much detail as this could be a whole other email, but there are lots of examples of weapons or modules that are either useless and are rarely used or are too overpowered. I have mixed feelings about this because I don't feel like there's anything that I would consider to be too overpowered. Um,
And I think there's a lot of stuff people call out as useless, and I've found great fun uses for them.
yeah, I will say I feel like there are some things that you have to be more creative to be useful. A good example is, well, actually, you know what? I will say I think about the only thing that is useless are like um, like the remote release flak launchers. They just the swarm turns too fast, and either I just suck at it, I don't know, but
No, I think you
No.
just enraged a whole channel full of AX guys that are like, shut your whore mouth, because let
That
me tell you something, the flak launcher is sworn by for killing swarms. So I mean, but again, so this goes back
it's
to what I just said
yeah.
before. It doesn't not everything has to be your thing. If it's not your thing, if you're like, man, I love rails, god, I can't stand multi cannons, and then you might be right next to a guy that's like, I love multi cannons, keep those goddamn rails away from me. Everyone's got their style, man.
tracks you're saying?
Well, I agree. I mean, the flak launcher is our only defense against the swarm, but it's perfectly fine. I mean, you have to get used to it because it's totally different than any other gun. But there's lots of things like that. I've heard people say exactly that about all kinds of stuff. Cyto scramblers, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whatever. I was there when we got your vet down to 10%, and that's I was using Cyto scramblers that day because
Yeah.
all it's all these things. Yeah, they're useless. Okay, well, have some fun. What was the story Exegius told about pirating in some small ship and making great use of specialized mines?
Mm-hmm.
Mines. When do you see people firing mines off? But they can be used to great effect if you think about it. And all these things. Well, and Down to Earth stream, he was putting cytos on something too, and so people. I agree. I read this number 8 and said, I don't know. Maybe I bet a year ago when I was first kind of discovering like what certain weapons were and stuff like that, and I kind of thought, well, that seems stupid. Why would I ever do that? And it's like, yeah, I guess if you're thinking about the sort of combat that FDL loaded with plasmas and rails is good at, you could sort of say like nothing else is as good as at that job as that build is. But there's a ton of other stuff you can do in this game and different ways to do it and different fun things that happening. So it's when I stopped exclusively flying my FDL in combat and started trying out different kinds of things, all kinds of new different modules open up and different kinds of builds and trying shieldless builds and changing things up a lot. And I think I don't know. I can't think of anything that I think I would dramatically need to change balance wise. So that's
So
my
you're
opinion.
exactly right. That was Down to Earth that he was using the scramblers on his blunderbuss build that
Blunderbuss. Yeah.
Yeah.
popped an anaconda in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
That so it with all of these things, it's like um I like that there are a ton of different things, and I like that you may look at something and go, I have no use for this. But so what's the alternative? The alternative is they pare it down to like just 4 or 5 things, and they all kind of are quote unquote balanced and equal. And that takes all the flavor away. If you have, 90 different weapon types and they all have their weird edge case uses where it's like, yeah, it's crap for this, and this, but oh my god, it's the king at that.
Yeah.
It allows players to play with things and come up with some really amazing concoctions on their own. So I get what he's saying from the standpoint of like, oh, this frustrates me or that frustrates me, and I would just encourage him to shift his viewpoint a little bit on that issue to say, this isn't for me, I enjoy these. So then just go play with those. But you may find yourself a year from now or 2 years from now coming back and looking at it because you have an idea for a weird build, and it could turn out to be, something just blunderbuss terrific.
Mm-hmm.
Here's
Yeah. As soon as I started paying attention to odd builds, now I have the opinion that like the module and weapon selection in Elite is one of the best aspects of it,
see.
of the game itself.
That's exactly what I think too. I really feel like that the weapon selection is good. My not so much on weapons, but I do kind of feel like engineering as a whole needs a balance pass. Um, because it feels like there are some engineering things that are really powerful, and why would you choose anything else? And I feel like there are some that are just garbage, and why do they even exist? And yeah, you might be able to make a case for certain builds or certain situations, but I would like to see them balance them out a little bit, maybe come up with some newer ones. I
Hmm.
don't know. Like I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but well,
That's really hard though. This is sort of like the same thing that's been discussed a lot recently about like we were just talking about how to get your trade elite and stuff like that, and how this should be rebalanced. But what about the old players? And you know, none of that's really possible to change in the
yeah,
game. Like you can't actually change that. So we're just sort of like discussing for the sake of it. Like they can't change the effects that I don't know. Well, what happened? They in an update last year, there was a change to drag munitions special effect.
Mm-hmm.
and everybody lost their lid for 5 days until they rolled it back.
Yeah.
It took it, um, and that was seen as an overpowered change, and that was just one little change that they tried to make, and it didn't really work out. I don't know. And adding something would be a lot of complication. If they did it right, I suppose it could work. But
Yeah. Yeah. I don't. The thing that comes to my mind off the top of my head is I would like it like we have um, we have some lightweight stuff and that's nice. Our engineering things and we have some integrity stuff that's nice. I think it'd be cool if we had some flat out like low heat stuff so you could really and I know you can do things to make a stealth ship but really focus on making like a full blown stealth ship.
Mhm.
So we do have some low heat stuff in
We
there.
Some.
do, we
I
do.
think that the main thing to think about with the engineering stuff is again the those engineering things, and I understand what you're saying, Ty, where you're like, well, I'm never going to use this and this. Well, if you're building a certain type of ship and that's kind of what you're focusing on, then yeah, you might never. But I with few exceptions, there either are now or well, no, with no exceptions, there either are now or could potentially in the future be a good mix or pairing for every engineering, for everything. If you're like, hey, look, I mean, look, the most obvious case, tell everybody like, oh, hey, look, check it out, an ass scout, and everyone's going to say, okay, that ship is absolute trash, it is horrible, and why would you ever want it? Okay, well, maybe, except for if you're building a stealth build that you're going to run super cool and you're going to hit somebody with some torpedoes and drop their, like as a start, or you just want the absolute best smuggling ship in the game. If you don't shoot and you don't afterburner or boost rather, you're going to run cold enough that you will never get scanned by the cops. So you could just fill it up with contraband and go right on through the mail slot like, yeah, da 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 da. You could go AFK in front of the station. You're fine. Like everything, no matter what, how useless and trash it may seem, it has a potential use. And if you start taking away, things, whether it's engineering, like, well, these are the only good ones, so we're just going to make it easy. You can just pick this one or that one. It's like, no, man, give me choices. Even if they're bad choices, give me choices, and maybe I'll build something that'll surprise everyone.
Well, I'm all for choices. I do think that I, probably a better way to put it is I would like to see them put in some new ones. Just give us some crazy stuff just for shits and giggles, you know. Um, and
Probably Thargoid stuff.
yeah, yeah,
I
Some
would
new
love to see that.
engineering would have to be in that direction because everything else. I was actually just going over in my head like, what engineering do I think actually do I never even think about? Now I've been going through all my specialized builds and I've been doing modifications that I never do on other ships, but I've been finding reason to use long range or lightweight instead on a combat ship. Things like that. The one thing that I can't figure out when I would ever use is anything other than charge enhanced on a distributor.
yeah.
So I guess
So
distributor is the only one.
let me here you go. And you're a very knowledgeable guy, but let me tell you, uh you definitely want to go engine focused for certain power distributors on certain exploration builds, and here's why. Because you can get a crate phantom with a super small distributor, or a conda with a super small distributor, and it will not have the ability to boost. But if you go if you go
Engine focused.
engine focused, did I say weapon earlier? I meant
You
engine.
got it right.
No, you said it
Yeah,
right.
okay. If you go engine focused, you can make that thing boost. It goes from
Hmm.
not being able to boost, you drop engine focus on it, now it can boost.
All right.
With regard to weapon focused, for certain mining ships, for laser miners, you go weapon focused because that gives you an extra 15, like 12 to 15 seconds before you're going to overheat, and then it makes it to where basically you can fire and drain every rock without any question whatsoever. So like even weird stuff. Yes, 90% of the ships that we're going to build are going to be charge enhanced, but there are cases where you want the options.
I agree with you on that. However, I I don't know. I'd like to see new stuff.
Oh, I
Yeah.
completely agree with you on that. More choices are always good.
Number 9. Saud Kruger passenger ships should be good at passenger missions. VIP cabins aren't really worth it. There aren't enough VIP missions on the boards. Increasing them could be a start, but another suggestion would be to make the regular cabins hold more people on a passenger mission. For example, a Class 4 economy cabin on a regular ship holds 8, but with the passenger ship bonus, it could hold 10 on a Dolphin. I actually kind of like
Oh,
this
so the
idea.
module is worth more on a dedicated ship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually like this idea. Um, there's a bunch of people who will argue with me, but the Saud Kruger ships, I don't own a single one, and I probably never will.
Only
Uh,
ones I haven't tried yet.
yeah, I have no desire to run passengers. I did a little bit of it when it first came out, just because I could see what it was like. I did a little bit of it back when it was a good way to make money, and it still is a pretty good way to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to go the long distance passenger stuff. The thing that irritated me about passengers was I had a bunch of them eject, which all I could
Was
think
it the
of.
smell, Ty?
Oh shit! All I could think
If
of
you had
was,
yourself a
Exactly.
South Kruger ship, they would have stayed.
look, if they don't like my vet, they don't like me. All right.
You took him out in your vet with all the paint scratched off. What the fuck did you
Mhm.
think they were gonna do? Excuse
It's
me.
so odd that all of these imperial citizens and these hoity-toity
Oh jeez.
imperial types were not happy with your vet. I don't
So
know
my
why
point
that would be.
is, I'm done with this asshole shit. My point is, my point is that uh, it was so dumb. They're like, I need to get 4 tons of meat stores or something. Okay, well, there's a line of station for like 3 jumps for meat, so you're gonna have to wait. So I had to get to the system where there's 3 jumps, and by then they ejected because they only were happy with me for long enough. And maybe I just don't know what I'm doing on them. That's a very good case. But it would be
So,
Well, I,
cool. It'd be cool to, like, on a passenger ship, you to be able to put stores in there to where you can anticipate their needs. You see what I'm saying?
I agree with you, and I think so. With regard, I'm not sure that you really want to say put that they hold more passengers. I mean, that's one way you could go, but I do completely agree, and it seems to make perfect sense to me that if you have the brand new top of the line Beluga liner and you're out there, it should give it should grant an automatic bonus to the morale of your passengers, like and you can write in there that it's like, hey, we've got a luxury bar and we've got a gourmet whatever, and we've got all this and that and the other. So it makes perfect sense that your passengers would be more contented. Like you would get you should absolutely get an automatic bonus for that. And then maybe if you want to say like, well, we want to have a little extra, something, or maybe instead of saying more passengers, say that you get an automatic morale bonus, and you get to charge some 15% extra just straight up because it's like a luxury ship or something. Like I
Hmm.
take that. And for the record, um I love my little Dolphin that will never ever overheat now, thanks to the change that they made in January, and that has I have the livery for it. I have the paint job of it, of the little like New York yellow taxi. So beep beep y'all.
This kind of falls in line with stuff that Ty has mentioned before about ships having extra specialized features that aren't just the sum of their parts. So,
Hmm.
the passenger ships having something extra that gives you that bonus, like a store inside or something weird. And I think Ty, had been talking about like theorizing an as yet unreleased ship, like another large alliance ship or something like that, that would have some special feature that was just for exploration. Like it could equip something that nothing else could equip, or it would get some bonus to it. That stuff like that could be fun and cool.
100%. And the vet should have some nifty little special combat thing it can do where you hit the button and it does the Top Gun move and your guy flies right by or something. No.
But the vet should just definitely have double strong size 4 weapons. That's all. No big deal.
Okay, I. All right, y'all
I
gonna keep
think I
shitting on
think
my
I think
vet.
Trex. No, we're
No,
not. We're saying buff it. I thought
Listen.
I thought that you were about to get on your knees and tell Trax that it's love at first sight. Well, that did not sound right. Now I don't mean get. I mean I thought you were
He
about to
proposed
just.
to me. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, I thought you were about to tell Trax that that you just found love because he's talking about buffing your vet for combat, like that it's awesome already. But just the same way that the beluga is the luxury ship and should get some extra buff to trade passenger missions, the vet should get a little extra oomph in combat, a little something something.
Right?
Well, who knows? The vet has a lot of oomph anyway, but
It
I don't
does.
It
know.
needs a little
Anyway.
more. It
I
needs a little
love my
more.
vet. See, oh, so okay, you've come around.
All right, all right. So, yeah, it needs a little more love, guys. The vet needs a little more love.
It
All right.
doesn't need it. The vet is already
It
amazingly
needs a
strong.
little more. It
But
needs a
no,
little
no,
more
no, no. Hold
shield,
on,
a little
hold
more
on, hold on,
armor.
hold on, hold
A
on.
little more
It
jump
doesn't.
range.
It doesn't need it because the vet is already amazing. But we wouldn't say no. That's how you put it. Because otherwise, you're talking
Yeah.
trash on your vet, bro.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of intestinal fortitude to stand up and say like this ship that I love is too strong.
It's not. It's
Um,
fine.
a lot of people feel this way just about engineering in general.
So
Yeah.
before this devolves in,
Engineering the game was different, and now every ship can perma boost, and it's
Hmm.
just kind of
so before this devolves into a 3-hour love letter of the vet, let's get back to
Yeah.
DJ Wiley's thing.
Are we on 10 now?
Yeah, we're on 10. Make material grinding a bit less grindy. I don't mind most of the actual gameplay, but something like giving out 5 of material instead of 3 for each chunk scooped would certainly help.
I think you could lick this in one step because I think HGE's high grade emissions are right where they need to be, and I think there's plenty of sources for other things. The trading values at the material trader are wrong, and
Yes.
Yes.
everyone agrees with me. And that would the one little tweak to that, it could be minor. It could just be 3-1 instead of 6. The whole game changes.
So 3-1 instead of 6, and the same going up is coming down. So if
Mhm.
it's 1-3 going up, it should be not it should not be 6-1 to go up and 1-3 coming down. If it's 6-1 to go up, make it 6-1 to come down.
Mm-hmm.
I also think we should be able to cross trade. What I mean by like raw should be able to be tradable with data and
Oh.
etc. Now there
So
should be a bigger penalty there. Like
so the problem I agree with you in theory that it would be cool, but the problem with that, as I previously stated, we are all gamers. We will all game the system. If you do that, then here's what's going to happen. People who don't want to figure out how to do HGs or don't want to whatever, they're just going to go to out to the raw crystal site and then trade them for the others, or they're just going to go to Jameson's Cobra and
Yeah.
do the data and then just trade it for everything. And
Somebody will math out the minimum time to fill a bin.
Yes.
And that's close to a trader, and that's the end.
Yes. If you're so I get what you're saying, Ty, in theory, but I like that it forces you to do multiple different types of things instead of just gaming out what is the most efficient per minute and then just do that over and over and over until your eyeballs bleed. The one thing I would say to DJ Wiley is if you're at all having issues, come into comms and ask us because you hang out with us quite a bit. But like my man Exegius has you covered. Go check out the site. He will break down how to do those HGEs like a boss. The crystals, it's all there, like at the site. The Cobra for the encoded data. None of them are really hard. I get if you're saying like, no, I already know how to do all it. I just feel like it's a little grindy. Okay, I get that, but really, if you go with the most efficient method, it's I get it that it's, you could wish that it's a little easier, but man, just throw on Netflix and get her done.
Well,
If you don't want it to be work, it does work the way that they say it does. Like they say you're supposed to be able to find them just playing the game. You really can.
yeah.
If you just do a variety of things, you can, and you aren't trying to engineer things all the time. If you're trying to build a new ship and engineer it start to finish all in one go, then that's that's a lot, you know what I mean, all at once, and you need to be prepared to do the grinding that's required for that. But if you're just sort of like playing as you go and doing whatever and engineering things maybe once in a while if you have the stuff, you're going to find that you have a bunch of full bins randomly.
Wait,
Um,
why were you looking right at me when you said that, Trax? If you need to engineer things constantly, what, dude? Come on.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it's great that you hacked into my webcam and you could see where I was looking. It's we're all a lot closer now. No, but um I just mean like that was sort of the promise of the thing. That's what FDev has said. Like this is the way they want it to be done. They have clearly put in these methods to do it efficiently, to do a grind, and they're not sorry about it. You know, they've said that it's perfectly okay to menu flip to reset these instances and stuff like that. So you know they're letting it happen from both sides, but you don't have to do the grind. So I always want to say that when I hear somebody talk about how the game is grindy, it's like there's plenty of fun to be had that has nothing to do with grinding. um and you can do it that way too.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I like grinds anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't like RNG, but anyway. Number 11. We only got like 5 more here, so we should probably try to go through these a hair faster. So,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
why do collector limpets expire after one scoop if you have something targeted but work continuously if they don't? It makes no sense. I would consider this an annoying bug that should get fixed. Let me start off by saying I think limpets as a whole need to get a whole fucking rework. I feel like they work pretty damn good for what they are. That being said, I'm a big believer. I don't subscribe to the theory that we need to have uh, one master control limpet thing to where we can program independently. I don't like that. What I like is let me have a so let's say you have a class 7 slot, all right? And let's say I put a class 3 repair limpet controller in that slot. And then I put another class 3 collector limpet in that slot, and then I put another class 3
Class
decontamination.
one.
Yeah,
You
you
only
just
got
No,
one
went
yeah,
left.
it's
now you're
7.
now you just
Sorry,
went to class
sorry,
9.
sorry, sorry. Math is
Yeah.
hard. Math is
Three
hard.
three 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 and one, Ty. 3 3 and 1.
Yeah,
Shit, but you get what
I,
I'm
I agree with
saying.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that seems like a
So
fair way to do
basically,
it.
let
so
you
basically,
stack the
what you're saying
modules.
is, yeah, that's what I said before. We should have a nested limpet controller, and then you say, okay, what size slot are you putting it? I'm putting it in a 7. Okay, spend 7 points how you like. You can
Right.
have a 1 prospector, a 3 collector, and a 3 decontamination if for some reason you think that rock's going to give you AIDS. Like you just, but it fits into the total there. So if you want to have an exploration ship that has a one of everything, because you may want to use it as to collect something, or you may want to use it as a recon limpet if you come
Mm,
across something weird on the other side of the galaxy, or you may want to use it as a decontamination limpet if whatever. Okay, fine, but just like exactly like you said, Ty, if you take the total number there, then you can say, okay, it's nested and it can hold, up to whatever. It'll
Yeah.
hold up to that
yeah,
that value.
I'd buy that for 200,000 credits.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me also say that I also think that we should be able to target our individual collectors and say, release that item and ignore it. Like if you like you
There's
should be
no
able
way
to.
I'd get there in time.
Yeah, I mean, more likely you're right, but at the same time, I think, I hear what he's saying here that targeting a thing and then saying that one thing goes and get it and draw, and then
Yeah, that's
that's
weird.
that's dumb. It does feel like a bug.
Well, I mean, we literally just used that earlier when you guys were transferring the Thargoid hearts.
I know,
So
I know.
it has a reason, and
But
also too.
but you could
Go ahead.
also like select them, like have a mode to where it's like grab everything or only grab targeted.
Okay,
It's not a big
but
Yeah,
deal to
we're
program it, you
you're
but
know.
just
where
adding bindings to the binding page now,
where
though.
That's a
where it
good
is
point.
where it is already, you can absolutely use it. Just don't target stuff before you send it out.
Yeah.
I get it that you want something different, but this is what we got. All right.
No, that's actually a good point. All right. Number 12. Small ships have no real purpose after the very early stage of the game, and it's far too easy to make the jump to medium ships these days, so nobody really flies small ships for long. I'm thinking maybe have certain missions or signal sources that are only for a certain size ship. Incoming enemies could be adjusted accordingly, so small ships only get matched against other ships they can take on, rather than base it just on the pilot's combat rank.
Dead wrong, every word. I'm calling him out.
I'm going to say mine for last, so y'all go ahead.
I use small ships. I use ships of all size. I love my small ships, even though I've had access to all kinds of other ones. And I soloed an elite anaconda in a Hazres with my shieldless Viper just last week. So nope.
So okay, so I agree halfway with Wiley and halfway with you. I agree that he's dead wrong on the. No one flies small ships anymore. I fly small ships. I love small ships. I agree with you 100% on that side tracks. However, having said that, his concept intrigues me of saying having certain things that you can do with a small ship that would be new, interesting, meaningful gameplay that would be small ship targeted. You need to make sure that you control for variables so that you don't have people game the system and say, okay, I'm going to accept this small ship mission and then wing up with somebody in a Anaconda and we're going to just tear through it in 2 seconds to game it. But if you had solo content where it's like, you have a small ship and it's a base assault, and like literally part of the base assault is you have to fly through some kind of a tunnel or something and come through the other side, like that the base is in a cave or something, and that a large ship just would not fit in there. That would be super super cool. So I agree with you that it's just because he doesn't like small ships doesn't mean other people don't, but I like the concept of having some new options with stuff like that.
So this would be
And
like a station that only has small pads, like where
sure,
outposts can't land
sure.
a large ship, something that can't land anything but a small ship. Sure.
Right, right. Maybe if you had an outpost somewhere that you had to do a mission on, and only a small ship would fit, it wouldn't even take a medium. So it's like,
Right.
dude, you're not taking your Python, bro. Take a Cobra. Have fun.
All right, my turn.
Sure.
All right. To begin with, I want to say I love large ships. I've always liked large ships. That's no secret to anybody in here. I'm a big believer that small ships are a little weird in the meta of the game. They definitely have a place. They have a better place than large ships in the meta of the game, or the PvP meta of the game. Um, but really, medium ships are kind of they are the Millennium Falcons. They are the best ships overall, which really hurts my heart. I'm not trashing you, Vet. I love you, but um, man, this is what I want them to see change with small ships. I don't like the idea of having special areas where only small ships can go to. I don't necessarily like that idea. I think if you want to see more people in small ships, I think the easy way to do it is to, if you have a large ship, let me stick my Sidewinder underneath it. I have a fighter bay. Let me get rid of the fighter bay. Let me have a small ship bay that it will let my it can hang out down there. It doesn't have to be completely docked. And maybe while it's docked, I lose some turning radius, some performance. But let me, that way, my buddy can get in and launch it. And if I lose it, it's a full blown loss kind of thing. It's a full blown loss. But hey, how cool would it be to have an eagle underneath you? You know?
Yeah, so this is like the shuttlecraft kind of thing, so that a large ship can interact with things. that it wouldn't be able to otherwise, like transferring cargo to an outpost or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
See.
pretty cool.
Yeah. I really like that idea. I really want to keep. I really want to. I, I still remember that early concept art where we see the Anaconda launch bay and there's a Sidewinder coming out of it. And I don't really want the Anaconda, but I really want the Sidewinder launching out of my bay. So,
Little sidey coming out of going with the little sidey coming out of your vet.
yeah.
So you guys,
Yeah.
you heard it all here first, folks. Ty likes big ships and he cannot lie.
All right. All right. Number 13, asteroid belts. There's literally no point in mining them. No credits to be made. Maybe they should be made. Maybe they should make some kind of materials that you can only find in belts. Sorry, I lost my place. Belts. Either something we can sell for decent credits or have as part of a mission where you have to mine specific material from a belt.
Okay,
Yeah.
this one's super simple. 100% agree. What?
Well,
So what he's talking about?
hold on. To begin with, when he means asteroid belts, I think he's talking, and you just pointed this out to me, Kai, because I was thinking asteroidal rings. He's actually talking about like the asteroid, like the what do they call
Clusters.
the asteroid clusters inside of systems that nobody ever freaking goes to.
So real quick, just to break that down real quick, 100% agree. He's talking about where you have when you scan a planet, you bring up the system map, and you see the star, and then you see those two little lines of rocks, and then you see 8 or 9 planets and moons and what have you. Those two little lines of rocks are in and of themselves just these asteroid fields, I think, are what they're called. And those asteroid fields, in theory, should provide some awesome dynamic gameplay. There could be neat things that you do there. Maybe, special materials that you mine, or maybe there's a mission where you have to go in there and rescue a miner who's, something's bad happened to a ship. Or maybe you go in there and you hunt down some pirate who's like, that's where his lair is and his gang or whatever. That there's so much cool stuff they could do with that. And so far, not so much. So that's an easy, absolutely yes, it's a thing in the game. It should have some cool shit that we can do with it, and I look forward to that. We know that coming up soon, we're getting in June, we're getting some fleet carriers, and
Maybe
we
that's
know
where
that
the
they have
fuel
some
is.
special fuel that has to be mined and or purchased from certain stations for credits. I would love it if it was mined there, because then we would actually have a point to it, and maybe they would add cool game stuff in there, like pirates to hunt you down, or that you got to go hunt down, or all kinds of stuff. So just 100% easy, yes, slam dunk to your question.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an opportunity there for something new.
All right, here's what I'll say about it real quick. I think that more things to do inside of the celestial bodies in general would be fun. I still want gas mining. I still want to see comets. I still want to see planetary accretion disks, stuff like that. And I keep hoping that stuff's coming. And there was actually some stuff there for a while where they were talking about comets, about how they're coming. They were talking about gas mining. That's something that they could see us doing at some point, and it's kind of fallen off, or maybe it's not fallen off. Maybe these are things that are coming in the 2020 update. We just don't know. Stuff like that. So he has 3 more bullet points here. I'm going to read them real quick.
I've just reread them. Do you want me to just sum it up in 2 seconds to get it done?
Sure.
All right. So real quick, he says we need more SRVs. Of course, everybody's going to agree with that. He says we want a Panther Clipper. Of course, everybody's going to agree with that. He says, okay, whatever. Maybe you don't care, but nobody's going to say. Are you going to say no to any new ship? I'm not.
No.
And then he says, hey, I want to be able to land on the moon. Of course, everybody wants that. 100%.
Fuck yeah, I want that. Oh my God.
Then he ends it, and this is super important. He said, look, I know that some of these questions might seem critical. I don't want to be critical. I love Elite. I love playing the game I've been playing the game for a long time. These are just some things that irk me. DJ Wiley, thank you so much for your letter. It is an awesome letter. It provided us a lot of cool points. And now I'm going to shut up so they can talk about their SRV Panther Clipper Moon ideas.
And we love you. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's all fine. Yeah, those are all stuff that could and maybe should be added. Probably should. Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. What if you're right, Leslie Ewok? What if Raxel has an astral belt? We will never freaking know.
That's right. If they hit it in there, that's why nobody's found.
All right, moving on. So pretty big news for the week. There's this, to my knowledge, this is the only big news article. Am I wrong about that, Kai?
Only one
Actual
I've seen.
from
there's
FDev.
there's well, so that was the that was the, what do you call it, forum post. Yeah, there's been other stuff, but yeah, that's the one forum post.
All right,
that
so
FDev did.
today at 11:46 a.m. Central Time, because again, that's the only time that matters, time zone that matters, because that's where I live. Good old Steve Benedetti, and
Well,
The Steven?
it's Steven. So Steve, it's STEPH. So
oh
it's
yeah,
Steven.
You have to
Yeah,
do Steven. So Steven Benedetti,
yeah.
Steven Benedetti, Steven,
Steven?
Steven.
Steven. Mhm.
Have y'all,
So
have,
many people don't even know the meme, and so they're like, "Are you guys having a stroke? Why do you keep repeating his name?"
I
So
might
just
smell toast.
real quick, there's a thing where whenever Stephen Benedetti's, he said whenever his name gets read out in one of the shows, he takes a drink. So everyone has been trying to murder him with alcohol poisoning because they are evil. I love you, Stephen, my favorite Stephen. Sorry.
So Stephen Benedetti posted, "Greetings, commanders. Since the launch of the January update, we received a lot of feedback about the changes made to the supply and demand volumes of specific high-end minerals. Today, we wanted to give you an update on some of the feedback you've been sharing with us." In the January update, we have rebalanced the mining of certain high-end commodities to better represent a realistic supply and demand process based on the system's economy. This means that a station's purchasing price for minerals will reduce as the demand is met. With this change, we've also adjusted the supply and demand levels of different economies. For example, there will be a lower demand in colony economies for high-end minerals, as those economies do not require as much, but in a refinery economies, they will have a high demand for high-end minerals, as those economies require more. By implementing these changes, we wanted to generate gold rush opportunities that dynamically respond to player interaction, increasing the viability of smaller mining vessels and rewarding early participants who sell their minerals in high demand locations first. Thanks to reports.
Go on.
Yeah. Thanks to reports from the community, we've identified a number of issues in regards to mining and the supply and demand of minerals. The team are going to be investigating these issues, but please keep those reports coming through the issue tracker. The demand for low temperature diamonds has remained high, which is not in keeping with other high-end minerals, which I think everybody was kind of thinking that this is a bug. For tomorrow, we'll be aiming to correct this. Low temperature diamonds will now also be affected by the changes to supply and demand, as originally stated in the patch notes. When identifying stations with supply and demand for high-end minerals such as void opals, painite, and low temperature diamonds, commanders need to have the specific mineral in their cargo hold in order to search for them on the galaxy map. From tomorrow, commanders will be able to toggle these minerals in the galaxy map without needing to have the commodities in the cargo hold.
So isn't that what you were doing at the start of the stream
Yeah,
when you were showing me that?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
When selling minerals at a station, the price that is offered is based on the amount currently in your cargo hold. While this has always been the case, we've passed the feedback on to the team for consideration for a future improvement of the feature. We believe that this change will allow for a much more realistic and dynamic system where the economy responds to player input and provides a much more meaningful effect on Galaxy. As always, we will continue to monitor your feedback and work together to develop our ever-expanding Galaxy. And go.
Oh my God. So, Oh my god. Okay, somebody else go.
All right, Kai. I know you got a lot, so let's hear it, man.
Well, I was gonna let's let Trax go first. He's very hot on the issue. I've got some stuff to say, but I want to hear Trax first.
I think the supply and demand affecting the minerals is an obvious yes. Even though it, for the most part lowers the sale price of things, it was silly that they weren't affected by supply and demand. And matching them into economies is all fine too. Technically, that should make it easier to find a high sale price. The part that I have issue with is this last little line at the bottom. Quote, while this has always been the case, we've passed the feedback on to the team for consideration, ellipsis. So this is when you have 500 tons of something, the price per ton is lower than if you have 100 tons of something. I mean, flick through the 6 pages after this post of comments, and I've asked around. I can't find anybody who said that that has ever been a feature of this game
It
for
was.
any commodity.
It was.
It
So
was.
yes, it was. This is a 1.x feature that was for certain trade goods. It was not ever for minerals and so these
So it was
issues.
only for specific things, not for the market in general.
Yeah, it was for some stuff like some
Let
things
me
that you would go ahead.
let me jump in here. So the way I understand it, it actually only worked, and I might be wrong about this, but because I did some searching around today, and the only thing I found that this actually ever applied to since day one were the rare goods, like like the
The
Lavian
things you can
brandy,
only
stuff like
buy
that.
X amount of.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the idea behind it was that way you couldn't I don't know who the hell would have done this. You couldn't you couldn't go buy 20 Living Brandy, eject them outside the station, fly back in really fast, buy 20 more, go back out there and scoop them.
Well,
I
so I
thought it
But
think
was
the
time
idea was
based.
that the idea wasn't that. The idea was Trax and I get together and I'm sitting in orbit or sitting just outside the station, 5 kilometers out so that we don't get the
right,
station mad at us.
right. That way you
He
don't load up an
comes out with
anaconda.
30 Lavian brandy. He dumps them, I take them. He goes back in. We do this over and over and over all day until I now have a cutter with 512 tons of Lavian brandy. And that was the concept. So this was always quote unquote the case with certain trade goods. The
The
fact
rare
that they've
commodities, which is
decided
a totally different class.
to move minerals into that category is absolutely baffling to me.
All or nothing. It has
100%.
to be the entire market or nothing at all.
Well, so here's why it doesn't work. Okay, it makes sense. I disagree with you there, Trax. It makes sense to do that with Lavian brandy because if I come in and say I have this super rare thing and I know you really want it because it's so hard to get and it's super rare. I have a bottle of 1904 Chateau Lafite. Okay, I'll give you $80,000. I need that bottle of overpriced, wine. Okay, fine. But if I come in and say I have 10,000 bottles of
Mhm.
1904 Chateau Lafite, people are gonna go like,
Yeah.
what? Like I'm
Yeah.
not.
That
I don't. So it makes sense with the Labian brandy, and you're exactly right that it does not make sense with the void opals because the whole point of void opals or painite or whatever, the first thing that they said, the top of this was 100% correct and spot on. Why would a colony with like low ability to use low temperature diamonds suddenly say, yeah, we'll take 10,000 of your low temperature diamonds and
right.
give you the best price? They have no use for it. But a
So the demand
refinery,
metric settles it.
so yes, 100%. The refinery, though, if you travel out and you trek out to the middle of, to the other side of Jabip, and they say, hey, we have a refinery that has a demand of 900 tons of void opals because we really need them for this thing that we're trying to build or whatever. There's no way that when you show up and say, I have 512 tons of void opals, they would go, well, that's a lot. We're not going to give you money for all of those. We'll give you,
Yeah.
a third. Like, no, man. They the supply and demand side completely covers the issue and it should have died there. The idea of them going with a further reduction of no matter how much we need it, you've got a lot of it, so we're only going to give you 2/3 of the value is absolutely just dumb. And I think that they know it. With they said in the thing here, we're taking more feedback. There again, exactly as you pointed out, that was posted at 12:46 Eastern time, 11:46 Republic of Texas time, whatever. And 7 hours later, there was over 6 pages of comments with people going, "This is not a good idea. Don't no,
Well,
don't."
it's I still that is what I think that's in line with what I was thinking,
Yeah.
the your correction. Um, so yeah, rare goods are in a different category, but the market in general, it should be enough, right? For different economies to have different demand levels and for the demand levels to um be interactive with the player base. That will change the price. This other thing is nonsense. It's pure nonsense. And if you were and to say this has always been the case without any clarification whatsoever, like I've been searching all day for somebody
Mhm.
who's heard of that. And it's a good thing Kai was here to set me straight. But like, come on,
Well,
come on.
actually, I started to, but it was Papa Ty that hopped in with the
Oh,
details on the rare goods, and he's 100% correct.
yeah,
So, all right, so taking this thing point by point. Number 1, demand for low temperature diamonds is high. We're gonna fix that tomorrow. No one's shocked by that.
yeah,
Everyone, we called that 3 weeks ago when we broke the story that this was a thing. Um, let's see. We're gonna put stuff in the galaxy map so that you can find it. That could be intriguing. I'm a little curious because they mentioned the Holy Trinity here, and they said, you could just such as minerals, high-end minerals such as quote void opals, painite, and LTDs, you can
yeah,
toggle in the map. If they, how they have the system state and they're just showing like how it's like war, none, uh,
yeah.
civil war, whatever. If they
Toggle them
just
shown or not.
literally added 3 toggles and it's void opals, painite, and low temperature diamond, I'm gonna be disappointed because the whole point of this patch was to break the Holy Trinity and to make it about more than that. The whole point of this patch was that low temperature diamonds, which were broken, were the highest price commodity. But the second highest price commodity over the last 2 weeks has been pretty consistent, has been that benditoite or whatever the hell that nobody gave two shits about until 2 weeks ago. So I hope that what we're going to see is if they put in there void opals, painite, low temperature, they also put in benditoite, rhodum splite, alexandrite, all the ones that nobody bothered to learn the names of because they were all dog crap before. Put them all in there because the whole point of the concept of this patch is we're breaking the Holy Trinity, and you're supposed to log on and not just say, I'm going to log on and get my void opals. You're supposed to log on and look at the market and say, like, what's earning today? Oh, Alexandrite.
Yeah,
All right, go get it. Or oh, what's earning today? Oh, Rotom Splite. Go get it. Like so, I hope that they include those other things in there because when the market settles in and they finally fix LTDs, which have just been borked, yeah, that's what you're going to see. Exegius called it exactly right a week ago. We called it a week before that. It's going to be a constant rotation of what is the bestseller right at
yeah.
this moment.
What sold a lot yesterday? So maybe I'm reading this bullet point wrong, but it sounds like what they're saying is just like a feature of the galaxy map where it will show you trade routes for that particular thing, regardless of whether it's in your hold.
Sure. But I'm
Was it
saying
that
I want to see before up until today, or up until tomorrow, really, as of right now, this second, you only see that if you have it on you.
right? Okay.
So that was the thing where they're saying, like, no, now you can search for it. And what I'm saying is, I agree with that. That's awesome. Please tell me it's not just those 3 things. Please tell me.
Yeah.
I'm fairly confident that it's going to be all of the things, all of the minerals. In which case, okay, good. That's a
That
plus.
sounds right, but it's gonna have to be a lot to overtake. Well, I don't know. I was about to say it'd have to be a lot for me to not turn to a third party tool. Then again, um, unless this last bullet point changes with this nonsense about having a lot in your hold or having the third party tools don't have any way to deal with that. So
So yeah, the third party tools are going to tell you the best place to go, but everyone is this last part just needs to go. So everyone go to the forums and say, we do not want this. And because it needs to go. The supply and the demand side will fix the issue. It will stop people from, if everyone in the galaxy goes out and just says, we want void opals no matter what, we'll fly as far as we want to, we'll fly as anywhere, we'll fly hours to get to a place. Okay, well then eventually all of the demand for void opals will hit the floor, and at that point people will be forced to adjust. But like this last part of this artificial, based on the amount that you're holding, it's just dumb. Get rid of that, please.
Okay. So, um, let me start off by saying that without a doubt, the balance of void opals, paint-out, and all that needed to be done. And the fact that having refinery economies that are like low on alexandrite, so therefore it's really expensive to sell there, is great. And this change they did. Well, they say it's always been the case. I challenge that very much. I need to see some documentation on that. So, what I'm going to say is this. What they've actually done is they have flat out nerfed the large ship cargo holds with this little change. It makes 0 sense whatsoever to fly around with 500 tons of any ore whatsoever on you, because you're going to get less money for it no matter where you sell it. You're better off making 5 trips at 100. That's what's broke as shit. And
it has nothing to do with demand.
Yeah,
As per the testing that we've seen on lots of videos, like the demand number keeps resetting every 15 minutes.
So yeah, 100%. If I show up to, if I'm standing outside of a football stadium and I'm out in the parking lot and it's, 105-degree day and everybody's sweating their ass off and I've got ice cold bottles of water, the demand is high. No one's going to look at my cooler and go, dude, you got a lot of water there. You're going to have to lower your price. Like, that is completely irrelevant how much I have. If I have more customers than product, the supply and demand will mean that I will get a good price.
Yeah, it's just, I don't like this change. And it's not so much that I'm even like upset about the like losing money per how much you earn. That's not what I'm even upset about. I'm upset about the fact that they did this change and it just doesn't make any sense. Why would you pay less for how much is in your hold? Now, if you want to make an argument that if you're selling 10 at a time versus 100 at a time, that you're selling them, that the idea of the station is buying in bulk, okay, there's an argument there. Make it to where I got to click the button 100 times versus clicking it once. I'll give you that. That makes sense. But don't tell me, like, that makes no sense what's in my hold.
No. If they wanted to create that, if they wanted to create the station doesn't want to buy more than that, again, that is demand.
The demand.
So
exactly.
the demand number, if the station only wants 100 and then they're going to not pay any more for it, or they're going to pay very little for it, then the demand needs to be 100. And after that, they'll only buy them for 5 credits or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or not at all. It's all satisfied by the demand metric, and this other thing doesn't need to be in it.
Yep. And just the last thing to close this out, I don't know if anybody else had anything, but just to close this out, in addition to the many, many, many pages, right now, the thing that is trending on r/elite, elite miners here, PSA, LTDs have been left out of the supply demand cycle, and this is getting fixed tomorrow. So the number one comment is, first they came for the void opals, and I did not speak out because I was not a void opal miner. And then they came for the painite, and I did not speak out because I was not a painite miner. And then they came for the low temperature diamonds, and there was no mining left for me. Oh my God. Way to bring it to, like, you're taking it to the next level there, bro. You need to relax a little bit with your mining. But it is Whiskey Tango Flyer. That was pretty good. And to all of you guys out there in Baran right now, mining like your life depends on it for the next 6 or 7 hours, God bless. Good luck.
The last thing I'll say about it is this, and we're gonna move forward. This feels like a classic case of a developer either A, not necessarily listening to their community, or B, them having a plan, not telling us what their plan is, and then moving. This is part of a larger plan for the long run, but I don't know. It feels weird. It feels really weird. So
Or they're new coking us. Maybe they're
yeah,
brilliant. Maybe they're brilliant and they put this in so that we would all complain so that they could take it out and make us happy, and then no one's going to complain about the fact that we're still taking a cut based off the supply and demand side. Maybe this is the new Coke marketing method, in which case you guys are geniuses.
yeah.
Wow.
What other news was there, Kai, that I
Oh,
that I don't
there,
have?
there's a lot. You want me to start with the week, or are we doing, where are we at?
Well, this is the Frontier news that I missed. Is there any other Frontier news?
I mean, there's stuff that's in Elite Week that's going to be stuff on, the streams and whatnot. But
But there was no other Frontier
on
announcements I missed, correct?
on this discussion topic, no, that covers it.
All right. So heading into Elite Week.
Okay.
That's your cue, man.
Yes, sir. All right. So new to the Discord, we got Kilgar, Cybernaut, Blake A, Polish Dan, Fruity, Danger Dan. We got a couple of Dans here from the Intergalactic Mining Unit. Big shout out to you guys. I'm sure you guys are all cracking up and or breaking furniture based off of the conversation we just had. We got Drew Wagar. You may have heard of him. He's the author of Elite Reclamation and Elite Premonition, as well as the Shadeword series. More information to come on that. We got Bjorn K, Dr. Nagy, Tex, Centribo, Iron Fist 13A, Rich 20, Wim, Lazy Dave, Murph 1970, and Alacron. Big shout outs and 07s to all you commanders. Discord shout outs. We got Roughneck57 sent in an email that's going to be discussed later on, but I wanted to give you a special shout out and much love for that. We got Commander Evil Genius. Big shout out. You made it to SAG A for the first time. SAG A star. I want to say it correctly so that Scott Manley doesn't come at me. I love that guy. Let's see. Last week's story time. So I went there. Lustful Ewok went in there. Raxless Maxlow, she won the internet this week with her Where's Waldo in Which Space. Definitely go into the Storytime, the hashtag Storytime channel, and check out her picture. And then people started doing tributes. I did a tribute on that. She had Where's Waldo. Data had a little Tyrannosaurus Rex, which was great. Ty had a good one in there. Blake went. Dubs with the combat shot. He was like limping in with on a wing and a prayer. Roughneck 57, and then I threw in a second one with the guy, the whatever, that Ancient Aliens guy, so you can see him in Which Space going aliens. For anyone who wants to be a part of this community and get in on stuff and shout outs and see the stuff and be a part of the hashtag Storytime channel or Kai's questions or any of the different things, tinyurl.com/loose screws podcast. Come join us. So last week's Kai's question, well, this is like 2 weeks ago's Kai's question because we kept pushing it. What do you want from elite fleet carriers? We had submissions with lots of great ideas. I want to pull out a couple real quick to go through them. Commander DJ Wiley, we were just discussing his letter. He says, I think for sure we're getting commodity storage with fleet carriers, and I have a bit of a theory on this. It's possibly just some wild speculation, but here goes. I remember reading on the forum somewhere as long time ago, the reason Frontier had never implemented some form of storage was the concerns over the BGS style manipulation. If someone could save up unlimited numbers of commodities and then sell them all at one station, it could have a very sudden impact on the faction influence. From listening to the last show and the discussion on the latest unexpected change in selling mining materials, my suspicion is this might also be a method to combat mass selling of fleet once fleet carriers arrives if it is price based. I 100% agree with that. That is totally interesting. It's something that I hadn't thought of before you said it, and now I can't get out of my head. That makes a lot of sense. Alec Turner on the Fleet Carrier channel. The thing that intrigues me about fleet carriers, and which I've seen little discussion about, are the support ships FD showed with the different style of support ship for each different fleet carrier role. So, what the hell are those support ships about? Surely not purely cosmetic addition to the fleet carrier. So, what if we can task the support ship with role specific jobs, a bit like we can assign commands to the ship launch fighter? Maybe we could ask an exploration support ship to go and scan another system for us. An alternatively an alternative to Ty's super FSS idea for base building. Or maybe we could ask a trade ship to take the commodities we've dropped at the fleet carrier and go sell them in a selected market, which would also solve the issues of where the credits for the trade roll ship support go to. Gav Cook had an interesting concept or idea or statement about it that I've heard from some people on here. I just pulled his out as a representative of this. I'm sorry to say, I genuinely could not care less about fleet carriers. I agree with whoever on the recent Lave Radio episode, it was Shan, by the way, that they said it's purely a vanity purchase, that hardly anyone needs to have all their ships with them all at the same time. 500 light year jump isn't far enough to be a game changer for exploration. I can see a use for the mining version where you could move your carrier to a hotspot and deploy ships equipped with separate types of mining. But my opinion, they should only be available to wings and player factions, one per faction, unless there's also new content linked to them coming in future updates that we don't know about yet. That's a huge key right there, because it may be that it's not for you. So carriers might not ever be for some people, but it may be that it's not for you yet until you find out about some cool stuff that is coming content wise that makes them have a purpose. And all of this we'll find out soon. I think there'll be something new to look at, but essentially pointless. Well, based on what it is that they can do, that may or may not be correct. So, Anabrick, I reckon that they're basically a money sink. You have to keep burning money off the players to force them to keep grinding. Plus, it's another place for the Ark's vanity items. I hope they put some space leg bits on them. Captain's cabin, ready room, canteen, and workshop. Maybe a decent astronomical chart. That would be cool. Having just started the game fairly recently, I won't be buying one just yet. We'll see how the meta changes before I grind money for it. I'd like to think they will put some new gameplay mechanics to add a bit more depth to the universe, but I can't really see that it would be the best way to do that. Knowing that you can't blow up is kind of means that they can't be that useful. No one wants one faction to drop 20 fleet carriers into a system to screw with its economy or BGS if they can't be forcibly removed. So we know that they're going to be just one per instant, but he is still right in that you could drop 20 into one system in different instances, and they could be, a powerful force. But coming back to GJ Wiley's point, they've put some changes in there that would limit the ability of, with supply and demand or whatever, you can't really market manipulate that much. So let's get to this week's Kai's question. And I have to make a quick apology to Lave Radio because we put this on the show notes. This was our thing. We literally settled on it all over the weekend, and then, or like last Friday, and then listening to Lave Radio this week, they more or less had the same question. But we're just going to still roll with it because it's a good question, and we want to engage with this conversation. So, what quality of life issues would you like in the 2020 paid update? This is not, let's be clear, because there's all of this talk is, space legs and, atmospheric landings and all the big picture stuff. We're saying what little thing, what just annoys you that you're like, man, I wish I could get this or I could get that. Ty, go.
So the one that comes to my mind is uh, better traffic controls inside or around a station. And what I mean by that is The first thought that comes to my mind is, like, say you request permission to dock, and so you like request permission to dock, and it says, okay, um, you uh, your landing pad is number 10, and it's near, and it's like 12 o'clock near. So the idea would be, if you fly through the mail slot, and green is on the right, um, uh, 10 would be 12 o'clock above you, because think about a clock. 12 is up, 6 is down, 9 is left, 3 is right, and all the numbers in between. So then you fly through the mail slot, and then if you fly through the mail slot correctly, and the greens are on the right, and it's at 12 o'clock near, so the landing pad is above you, and it's going to be right after you go through the mail slot. You could say
You want this to
mid.
be voice?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And then you could say mid, or you could say far. And then it would correspond to where the actual landing pad was. And also, when you're leaving, they could say like, you're you're cleared to leave the landing pad. Beware, there's traffic in your area. You are number 5 to leave the station. There's already a queuing system, so that way if you're sitting there, you count out ships. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm number 5 to leave, so I know I'm supposed to go after this guy. Flight simulator games already do this, so go get the people that can do it and make it happen.
And to be clear, when we first discussed this on Friday, and you first told me your idea, you actually included another point in it that I want to make sure that I highlight, because when you said it, I was like, oh my God, this is brilliant. You said that also, like, you could look on your left panel and it would actually have just a little, like, a 3D map of the Coriolis, the inside of the Coriolis, and you could see, like, there's the mail slot and then the tube coming in, and okay, you can kind of just see a little blinking, like, okay,
Yeah.
it's in the back and it's up to the right, or it's in the back and it's down to the left, or whatever. And I
Right.
thought, man, that's, even if they don't go through the process of quote unquote voice acting that just having that little 3D map with the blinking light or whatever would be so great.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like it would be that hard. They already read you the pad number, so the system knows where the pad is. It would require some new audio files. That's all.
Yeah, and I know that it requires. I don't know. I have some understanding that it requires a lot of background work to be able to get voice recordings done and get them done correctly and get them in the game and actually get the things massaged. Because there's probably about 30 or so, maybe 20 or so voice actors that have done all the different station voices. I know after you fly around a little bit, they all kind of sound the same, but I know that they're different, especially like if you go to like an Imperial station or like a Yuri Grom station or something like that. I know that they're different.
Well, then you also have some one-timers, like if you go to Obsidian Terminal, you're going to hear Obsidian Ant's voice. If you go to, there's that one where Plater does the voice to it. Like there are a few where they've had in special members of the community to record, but even they have the engineers where they have the robot voices. So even if Obsidian Ant tells you, like, welcome to my station, it could literally just switch to the robot voice to say, like, your landing pad is down to the left, or like whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
You can make it work.
let me ask you this, because I can't remember if you're out at Obsidian Station. Does Obsidian actually tell you where to like? Does he actually do the space traffic controls? Because I thought he just had the voice when you're docked.
No, well, you hear the voice. You know what? I think you might be right. I think you just hear his voice when you're docked. I don't think he's the actual air traffic controller.
Yeah.
I think you're right. You know
I
what?
thought
That's
the
a good point.
specialty
You're right.
ones did have that, but I've never been to one.
I forget. I'm not 100%, but now that I think about it, either you're right and I'm wrong, or you're just convincing me enough and I don't remember, because I haven't been there in a while.
I was there just the other day, and now I can't remember for 100% because I can usually hear his voice both ways.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else, Kai? Or Trax? Did you have one, Bubba?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I think I've been thinking a lot about the menus, and especially basically like the nav panel, contacts, all that stuff. There is rarely a time when I don't think that that is extremely cumbersome to navigate. And I know like there's filters and stuff like that. I would love for one thing the contacts panel. I think it needs some kind of like nested or collimated system, because when there's like a bunch of materials floating around, along with like if I'm in an Hazres and there's a bunch of materials floating around along with other ships, and they're constantly changing distance to my ship. They're jumping around in the menu. It's impossible to find what I want. I really want like columns or something. Like I want like the materials to be in a separate column or something like that. Like anything that would be white on my scanner should be in a separate column. Maybe something like that. But I think the biggest thing would be I think this should work for like all the menus in the entire game. Um, we well, oh no, I just gave myself pause because I started thinking about how some people use mouses to do this. But anyway, the game is designed a lot around controllers and HOTAS. So I think for the most part, this would be fine. And maybe this would be a menu toggle system if you're the type who uses a mouse. But for the, we're in the spaceship a lot. So even if you do use a mouse, you're having to use arrow keys or something to navigate your nav panel. Anyway, I think the whole thing should be reformatted more like a wheel, like a menu picker on a phone. So, like on my iPhone, if I'm like picking a date out on my calendar app, it turns into a wheel, and the selected item is always dead center, and the list of things scrolls up and down beneath the selection bar, essentially, as though it's a wheel on a slot machine, right? And so my selector should always be in the center of the menu, and the entire list should be rotating under that selector rather than the selector going up and down and then paging up and down and looping that way.
Did you ever play Secret of Mana?
I sure did.
That's what I'm imagining. Like you hit the Y button to bring up the menu, and then you have to hit up or down to go to the different actual selections, and then you can wheel around to
And
the one you want.
those were rings.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
ring
like
system. Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, okay. Um, so for me, I guess I'm picturing it like you would on a phone app, but to have it underneath. But it's the thing that annoys me is like the cursor could be all the way at the top or bottom, and if it's all the way at the top, but there's still menu items above that, I can't see them. I can't see what's next to it, and I don't like when things jump around. Like depending on the distance to me, it makes it awkward, and sometimes my cursor changes position right as I'm about to target something, and it's very weird. And I just feel like that whole thing could be smoothed out. And if my cursor never moved and everything just moved underneath it, it would make more sense visually for something that I'm scrolling through. So
Yeah, so you're talking about when you're in Super Cruise and you want to pick a certain thing, but you move and it positions to you relative to you rather just shifts, and now you click down on, and instead of clicking on the planet you were trying to click on, you click on the next moon or whatever because
or whatever.
right as you
Yeah.
clicked it moved. I get that there's some people that are going to prefer the way that it is now because you, like you said, they are and I don't mean to make you feel dumb, but you said mouses, and very clearly the plural of mouse would be mooses. So anyways, but like some people, yeah, some people are going to use mice and they're going to want to keep it the way that it is. But I dig the idea of, because you have all these different control schemes and all these different setups. I dig the idea of giving people the, because I would definitely choose the method you're talking about with the for it's better for
For
HOTAS control.
HOTAS.
So like I would definitely choose that. And there's nothing to say they already have the existing system. There's nothing to say that they
Yeah.
couldn't just give you a toggle where you say, do you want it this way or that way? And then
Right, it's like logarithmic versus, in
sure.
your sensor ring and stuff. And I think it could still it's still I think it's the best for keyboard as well. It's the only thing it's not the best for is if you're actually using a mouse cursor, which would be in the station. But I think there's most of the menus in the station that could still work for if you wanted it to.
Yep.
And not to make you feel dumb, but I said mouses very specifically and intentionally because I was talking about computer mouses,
Correct.
because I'm not talking about a mammal, and it is actually an acronym, and the plural of mouse is mouses.
That's correct.
It's mooses, bro. All right. Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. All right. So all right, my thing would be bookmarks. These are my pet peeves. So here's
Mhm.
what I want with bookmarks. Number one, I want bookmarks everywhere. Anywhere in the galaxy, I want to be able to put a bookmark. If I'm on a planet's surface, I don't want to have to say, well, I'm at I'm at biosite 4, or I'm at geosite 16. I want to be able to say I'm on this particular hill, and I feel like this has to come too, because if we're getting base building, which I feel like we are going to get, they're going to have to specifically have coordinate sets for, everywhere on the planet, everywhere on the moon. Um, so yeah, bookmarks that you can create anywhere. Number one.
Mhm.
Number two,
Pins.
pins. Sure. Number
Yeah.
two, that you can share with a click. So like I should be able to just click on the pin and then click on direct message to you, and then, you hit the paste button and boom, you get that. And number 3, for all of my existing bookmarks that I have, I want to be able to create as many folders as I want and organize them any way that I want. So that, like, this is something that you had in Firefox 20 years ago. There's absolutely no reason this is not a server load issue, because it would be existing in my system folder on my computer. There's no reason that I can't have a folder that says materials, and a folder that says engineers, and a folder that says, Thargoid stuff, and a folder that says Raxla Hunt, and a folder that says, Distant Worlds 2, and then another folder that says my Buckyball stuff or whatever,
Yeah,
and then just be able to drag and drop all of my stuff and have it organized however I like. So my whole thing is everything to do with bookmarks.
totally. My workaround right now is that I will make a, and I can't put a bookmark anywhere on a planet, right? But if I'm bookmarking something that's already a signal source, um, I will add like a bunch of, I'll change the name of it and add a bunch of A's to the front, depending on
Mm-hmm.
how high up on my list. So basically, my bookmark list looks like a phone book now. Uh, Phone book, for those of you who are older than 30, is this thing that used to get thrown onto your doorstep like twice a year or something, and it contained a bunch of numbers, and those numbers were connected to wires, and those wires were connected to people's houses. It was all very archaic.
So can
Should
I?
I explain more what the phone
No,
book is?
no.
Do you get the A joke?
I
People
have
used to
the
name their companies, AAA plumbing, so that they would show up
Yeah.
first in the phone book because it's
dude.
alphabetical. Anyway,
My so for me, like literally, Shinrada Desra Jameson Station is 1 point, and then that, and then a lot of other places that I go to are like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My
yeah.
All of my engineers are Z01, Z02, Z03.
Mm-hmm.
My material traders are MT1, MT2, MT3, and going down. My material gathering sites are M1, M2, M3. But it's massive and it's unwieldy, and you're scrolling around. And if I could just throw them in folders, I would be so
Yeah.
much happier.
Yep.
What a mess.
So
So
I'm sorry, what were you gonna say, Ty?
I, I'm gonna show mine real quick because the way I did mine, I think is a little bit different. So the way I did my bookmarks. So number one, this is my home port, AAA Northrop home. But then I have like, hey, here's all my discoveries that I really wanted to keep bookmarks of. Here's like the Guardian places. So the way I renamed them is like, here's where I go to farm materials, materials dash Dav's Hope, materials dash Jameson crash site. Uh, here's where I go get money, money dash Painite
Yo.
second site, money dash Painite mining site, money dash Void Opal site. Uh,
Jeez, dude.
yeah. Oh, and I also have tourist stations like tourist fast orbit Midran Hollow, tourist dash landable with rings 1, tourist dash Maya black hole. You get the idea. It's kind
Wow,
of a mess.
you just scrolled past one that said hookers and blow. What's the
I
deal
did,
there?
I did, and that's the real one you want to find in Elite. You can find that one. You have won the game, sir. You've won the game.
All right,
Um,
so if you're
I
listening,
notice he's not scrolling to the R's.
that's right.
wow. If you're if
Hold on. So I
Go
want to
ahead.
add one thing real quick. So on the air traffic or space traffic control thing, I also want to add in if you're at a installation and you're waiting on a landing pad, it'd be cool if it said, "Hey, you're number 3.
Yeah.
You're number 4 in the queue. You're number 3 in the queue." Whatever the case. Instead of just having to sit there and just spam it over and over again.
Docking request denied. Docking request denied. Docking
Exactly.
request denied.
Exactly.
Fuck you.
I mean,
So
just
when we're doing a community goal, you could be 15th in line and the system could just say you're 15th in line. How about a little CQC while you wait? We'll revive you when your pad is ready.
yep.
Wow. So we got bookmarks, we got docking, all things docking, and clean up the menus. So if you're listening, Frontier, these are some, you got the big picture, and we're sure these are some little things that would make some of the veteran players happy.
Yep.
All right.
All right, go ahead, man.
All right, we're skipping pro tip for this week because we got stuff, and we're also going to skip the content creator because there's so much stuff. You want me to just roll right into Elite Week?
Go for it, Bubba.
All right, I'm going to try to do this super, super fast. So please, 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 guys, call out if there's something you say, whoop, just give me a hey, and then I'll stop and we can discuss it because I don't want to cut you off from any of this stuff.
Okay.
So Elite Week started on Friday, January 24th. The first thing for me was Hutton Orbital Radio podcast that was previously recorded. They record like 6 or 7 hours before us, but I didn't get a chance to get it live because I was at work, and then I didn't get a chance to listen to it Thursday because it wasn't out yet. Friday came out. They talked about Operation Hot Mess and the details on ECM, the Elite Community Meet 2020 in Cambridge. Guys, this is going to be an awesome thing. It's going to happen on Easter weekend. All of the proceeds after they recoup the costs for the site, just what they put out, is going to Hearing Dogs for the Deaf and Special Effects, which are two phenomenal charities. These things are very, very, very cool meetups. You're going to have a great time. You have the ability when you book your ticket, if you are somebody that's lucky enough to be in England when that's going on, you can or able to get there. You can also put a little extra on a donation for either of those two charities. Alec Turner's personal call out on that. I don't remember where it was exactly that I heard it, but I heard it. Uh, and I mean, it was beautiful, man. Like, these are two good charities. You're going to have a great time. They're going to have loads of fun. Like I said, they discussed Operation Hot Mess. The link for it is in the show notes, and they're getting it done out there in the galaxy. Um, right now, clicking on the Operation Hot Mess, they have delivered mugs to 31.14% of the stations. So over 17,000 out of the 55,000 stations. They're just
That is
absolutely crazy.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's hilarious too. Um, so the podcast page link is also in the show notes, as well as their Twitch live link, as well as their ECM 2020 link. If you have the chance next Thursday, it's like in the morning American time. It's around, I don't know, like 11 a.m. or something like that, American time. I always just listen to them on the podcast, but check out their podcast. Those guys are awesome. We love them very much. Sagittarius Eye dropped Zen in the Art of Deep Space Survival, a very cool video, which is again, the link is in the show notes. Amazing stuff from Sagittarius Eye. This is an article that they did a while back where they talk about like how you want to have your mindset if you're going to go deep space. If you're going out in the black, with some changes and some things you need to keep in mind. Burpit dropped his Monday morning Which Space News. He talked about the ECM 2020 in Cambridge, which we just discussed. The tickets for that go on sale. Oh wait, hold on a second. This is a different thing. That is on 11 April 2020. That's when at 10 a.m. is when the actual ECM is going to happen. He talked about ED tutorials, which we had Exegius on last week, and we went through all of that. Um, He talked about patch 2 and most of the bugs were squashed. The invincible Thargoid heart is still a thing, and FDev is asking for more help reporting this. Get on the issue tracker. Tell them we want 2 things, please. 1, make Thargoid hearts not go invincible, and 2, remove that based on your cargo hold thing from minerals. Burpit, he had his Thargoid report out last week, which covers basically the same stuff that we covered in our Thargoid report the night before. Wiki B put out a video that was interesting. Diamond piracy is broken. So hilariously, while low temperature diamonds was the one item that was left that was a moneymaker, there was a hilarious issue where previously, whenever you would go out to do NPC piracy, where you would, Down to Earth had an amazing video on it back in the day, his diamond cutter, where you would go out and just target and interdict mining ships. When you look and they got mining lasers and whatever, you would scan them, interdict them, and take all of their goods, take those little hatchbreaker limpets and steal all of their goods. They always had low temperature diamonds, which now suddenly this week are an awesome thing, except for it's now broken. And when you go out and get a mining ship and you interdict it, steal all their stuff, they would have leather, tea, various crap goods. The one thing they wouldn't have is any minerals, which is confusing for a mining ship, but okay. The link for that is in the show notes. Sepulcher Geist put out a video, the Gnosis Cone Sector debacle. So we had a talk, we had an interview this last week that won't be airing for a little bit, but I wanted to bring this up because it's going to be a thing that people are going, well, explain that. What's the deal? What happened with the Gnosis and the Cone Sector? This video, you should click and watch it. It tells the whole story of what happened there, where they said, we're going to jump. Basically, Canon said, we're going to jump the Gnosis and we're going to be naughty little boys and we're going to pick a place that you said, because any place that's not locked that's within range we can go to. So they picked a place that FDev actually should have locked. And instead of FDev telling them no, what they did was make it not go. They made the jump go wrong, and then people came out to try to help them, and then the ship opened up fire on them for some reason because they were near and firing, even though literally those people were showing up to help save the station from Thargoid invaders. For some reason, the station still decided to murder them. Primetime Casual put out a video on his Guide to the Galaxy, Season 1, Episode 2, Tranquility. So he's traveling further into the void, towards the, one second here. Okay. He's traveling further into the void, towards Robin's Egg, CD 261339, exploring the mystery of the missing white dwarf and the beauty of the ringed Y class star. So there's a ringed star there, which is super cool. That system has a planetary nebula, a black hole. This system is just chock full of cool stuff to look at. The link is in the show notes, but if you want to get out there for yourself, it is CD-26 space 1339. It is good stuff. Definitely check out Primetime Casual is back. He's started this up and he's going. He's consistently putting out stuff, and he is definitely somebody we're going to be having to talk to soon because his stuff is too good not to. Saturday, we did our interview with Shan that will be released on Monday, the 3rd of February. Also, Saturday night, Commander Dead Meat GF of the Hutton Truckers had his birthday party, which was, by all accounts, a hell of a do. Congratulations, 07 Commander. Happy birthday.
I believe it was his
Exige-
50th, by the way.
I believe so. I believe you're correct.
That's a good number to reach, man.
We talked to Wotherspoon the next day, and he was hung over. But I mean, he was great. I love Wotherspoon, but he was like, "Oh man, just let me get some tea, and we'll get this started." Exigeous Saturday night put out his special event for 40,000 subscribers. Congratulations and big salute, Commander Exigeous. That's some good stuff right there.
Hell yeah.
Sunday, we did an interview with Wotherspoon. It will be released on Monday, the 10th of February. Again, that was great. I just, no disrespect to anyone else we've talked to, but I honestly, if the only guest we ever got from now on was just Wotherspoon every week, I would be a happy man. That guy is the storyteller of Elite, the voice of Elite. He is my hero. Let's see. Sunday also, Sagittarius Eye put out a report. This was an article. There was a Sidewinder solo kill of a Thargoid Medusa. So big salute to Commander Maligno. On January 13, 3306, Maligno did what was thought to be impossible by many commanders. He took on a Medusa solo in a Sidewinder in open space where the Thargons do bolster the Interceptor's attack capability. The battle lasted an hour and 32 minutes. There is a link in the show notes. You can go and read this incredible article. It goes on for a full page and a half. This is the second time the guy did it. The first time Maligno did it, he actually did it. He lured it close to a planet where the Thargons wouldn't get launched. And he did it in like an hour and 12 minutes. And then it was like a week or two later, he worked on some things. He came up with the whole plan and he did it in open space, dealt with the Thargons and all. You, sir, are amazing and a freak of nature.
Yeah,
Anybody?
that's
I figured.
ridiculous. That's
Yeah, I figured we should stop here for this one.
Oh my god. So many repair limpets.
exactly. I mean, that's just I don't even know what to say to that. That's like you told me about this in chat, I think, and I I don't think I've even fought a Medusa. And no, I have, but it didn't last very long.
I watched part of his fight on the planet surface. I hadn't seen the open space one.
Yeah.
It's just masterful flying.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right. So the next thing on here is there is a update on the Drew Wagar lore tour. So he put out a FAQ, so a bunch of questions to ask, and he put out an itinerary. Here we go. We're gonna go through this real quick, but man, this is good. Number one. So week one, it starts with "So it begins." It's going to be 2nd of April. It's in the Sol system. You need a permit for that. Go get the permit. He's going to be talking about the history of Earth and the beginning of the Federation. Week two is the expansion. It's going to be on April 9th. Tau Ceti, the early Federation, talking about that early history. Week three, Bread and Circuses. It's going to be in Akinar on April 16th. The history of the Empire. Akinar is another system you're going to need to get a permit for. On the 23rd of April is week four, the Writers Part 1. That's got a special guest that is not being shared yet, so you have to show up and see what's up with that. Week five on April 30th, Per Ardua ad Astra. Sorry. It's going to be in the Nerfitum system, talking about generation ships in hyperspace. An incredible story. 17,000 or what was it, 17 or 70? I forget. 1,000 generation ships were launched
70.
in that period. 70,000.
Yep.
So he's going to be talking about all of the history of the generation ships, and that's going to be amazing. May the 7th, they're bringing it to Lave for the rise and fall of Galcop. Lave, the far colonies in the old worlds. This to me right here, this one's got me super excited because I'm a huge Galcop fan. I'm super interested in INRA, all of that old world stuff. Week 7, I think Ty might be there for that. On May 14th, the Great Mystery. The starting point is, quote, redacted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's going to be all about the Dark Wheel and Raxla. So, my man Ty is definitely excited for that one. Week 8 on May 21st, First Contact. It's going to be in the 12 Trianguli system and HIP 12099, talking about the Thargoids in INRA. Again, man, that's my stuff. On the 28th of May, week 9, the Writers Part 2, another special guest and a place that's still hidden. We're going to find out later. The 4th of June, week 10th, is going to be the Last Alliance. It's in Alioth, another permit lock system. It's going to be the whole history of the alliance from the formation and all of that stuff. That whole story is good stuff. Ipsos Custodis on week 11, on June 11th. It's going to be in the Sinuf ILNC23 system. It's going to be talking about the Guardians. So that's definitely exciting. And then the last week, on week 12, Beyond the Frontier, on June 18th in the Prism system, he's going to go through the whole story of Salome, Kahina Tijani Loren. I'm down. I cannot wait. Also, just as a heads up, Drew is confirmed for both ECM on April 11th and LaveCon on the 4th and 5th of July. So if you're going to be there, go check him out. That guy is amazing. You can see him on Twitch TV at Drew Wagar. He's got a Discord app. He's got, twitter.com/Drew Wagar. I've got his website is drewwagar.com. All of this stuff is in the show notes for sure. Check it out. This is going to be kind of the highlight of my first half of the year. So also on Sunday, Rusty Dog put out a stream on assaults and smuggling. Again, the link is in the show notes. I'm not going to go into explaining too much about it. I've said it before and I say it again. Every Sunday, man, like Sunday on a nice chill morning, you break out the Rusty Dog and you watch and you just enjoy. That guy is a treasure. Monday, the week started, of course, with Hello Dave, the best damn news story or news show in the game. He had an interview. Well, he talked about his interview with us. He talked about how mining is still odd and the elite miners data collection. There was a whole Reddit group that was collecting mass data on mining prices. They're trying to lock down exactly what the hell is going on with mineral pricing. Well, obviously some stuff has happened that has changed a lot of how that's going to work starting tomorrow. He had contacted FDev and asked for clarification. Just don't tell me exactly how it works, but just tell me, is this working as intended or is this something that's going to be modified further? Well, spoiler alert, the answer is it needed to be modified further. Also on Monday, HCS dropped a new voice pack, Alpha. It's a Desperado Western style voice pack. It says stuff like, let's kill some scumbags. And, I tried being reasonable. I didn't like it. It says, I could bring you in warm or I could bring you in cold. It's all stuff like that. So if you want to have, your voice, your cockpit voice be like Clint Eastwood Desperado type, then for sure check that out. You can get it for it's on sale for the first week or whatever. It's on sale for the pre-order. Sorry, for the pre-order for like 10 quid, which is about $13. The regular price is going to be 15 quid, so $19. If you want it, get it now while you can get it cheaper. Then on Monday was the first Elite Dangerous live stream of the week. They had a Let's Play, Alliance Reputation with Will Flanagan and Stephen Benedetti. They said they were looking into feedback from the community on mining. That's been the whole story of the week. It's just been mining. And they're very aware that there's a lot of conversation on the subject. They indicated the goal of making a more dynamic supply and demand, but they didn't confirm if this is working as intended. They acknowledged that people were asking for more balance to combat pay. I definitely wanted to include that because I thought that Ty would love to hear that they acknowledged, man, they're hearing it. People want combat pay. And they talked about ECM 20, which I've already covered. Also on Monday, this was interesting. This was like some exciting news out of the blue. Commander Ealstan, EAHLSTAN of the Great Raxla Potato Hunt. He found an unregistered beacon that was not on any list. It was in the system Miratej, Mirateje, and it was repeating a code 193114208513 with an alpha numeric substitute. So A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3. It literally just read scan them, and it kept repeating over and over. Everybody was super excited for a couple hours. It was a whole thing where everybody was rushing out to see what was going on. The
including
system
me.
was 200 light years from Seoul. It's on the edge of the bubble. Everybody was interested. Upon further review, what it turned out to be was it was a new find, but it had nothing to do with Raxla. It was a beacon at the it was like the Nanmai, which led to a bunch of Black Flight ships carrying UAs and MAs as part of the whole Janus Corp experiment storyline. Uh, a link is in the show notes to the Canon Science article on the Janus Corp. It's an old storyline, an interesting storyline, a very cool storyline, but um, for a while. I take this, and I want to stop for a second and hear from you guys on this. What I take this as is okay, yeah, they didn't find obviously something on Raxla, but it's proof that even in the area of the bubble, on the edge of the bubble, 200 light years from Seoul, not 10,000 light years away, there is still stuff to be found that we have not found yet, and that just gets me so excited. The fact that it's like you don't know what's around the corner. We might actually find something that we really want at any given moment on this game, and I love that about this game.
So, I think it was like episode 7 or 8 of Loose Screws where someone actually found a
Mm-hmm.
new Guardian site,
Yes.
and that was that was a thing that really gave me a lot of hope for actually finding Raxla, because the fact that you know there's still things we haven't discovered. I mean, clearly there's still things we haven't discovered, but for them to actually have that in there like that, I thought that was really cool. And that Guardian site was discovered in like just around some other Guardian sites, like just a jump
Mm-hmm.
or two from them, and it
Mm-hmm.
just for whatever reason it was always overlooked. And I guarantee you, I don't think flew through that system, but I know I flew right around it. I know a bunch of people did. Um, and this is really what this nav beacon is, and it really makes me curious what other nav beacons are out there that we haven't found. Um, to give you an idea, this Raxla potato hunt encompasses something like I think I read it was like 300,000 star systems or something like that. Um, it's a lot. It's a huge undertaking what they're doing. They're running on the theory that Raxla is inside 200 light years from Sol, and they're also running on the original idea that if Raxla was discovered in the first game or discovered before the first game came out, back then ships would only go about 200 light years from Sol, so that's what they're running with. That is within 200 light years from Sol, which is what I believe as well. Um, but I don't believe they're going to find it this way. But at least this eliminates it just sitting in a system and us just not having found it yet.
Right.
Hmm.
But
I love the code stuff. I like that's that makes me feel so excited. Not that I was there or anything, but like that something's out there in this game. I mean, that was put there who knows when.
yeah,
And you think you find all this stuff and all these little bits of story and things, but there's still some floating around out there, that like one person knew about, and then not a player. I mean, somebody put that in there, and now someone found it, and it's this little riddle. Not that it's like a big deal to decode it or something, but um, it's very neat.
yeah,
For sure, man. For sure. Okay, so later on Monday, Exegius had his event, the Sidewinder Slaughter. Notes, link is in the show notes. Commander Plater posted a video that same day on, it says, Commander Plater, Elite Dangerous, quote, mining wasn't nerfed, selling was. And I have like 2 paragraphs of analysis based on his conversation there. And I'm going to skip all of that because, with all love and respect to Commander Plater, that's all now irrelevant based on the fact that
got
everything
it.
just
Yeah,
changed as of tomorrow. Tuesday, January 28th, I woke up to find a conversation going on between Edelweiss and Down to Earth Astronomy and Alec Turner about the Tia Nisla graveyard and the feasibility of an object in orbit of a planet, but always in the light of the parent star in our Discord. Like, I woke up, I checked our Discord, and I see these three guys talking to each other on our Discord, and I'm like, we've arrived. This is our Discord is now officially the place to be. It like the conversation is just great. And for anybody who wants to get in on it, tinyurl.com, Loose Screws Podcast. Join the Discord. I know that I'm probably annoying you by saying it again, but man, you're missing out if you're not seeing this stuff. So we also had, let's see here. Guard Frequency Podcast was released, episode 292. Space Guy and the Space Gun with the Spaceship plus story. They covered Picard, the U.S. Space Force, Star Citizen stuff. They did an ED role playing session. And let me clarify, Elite Dangerous. It has nothing to do with erectile dysfunction. Elite Dangerous role playing session. Um, it's a continuation. Guardfrequency.com. Check out their podcast. It's cool stuff, man. It's a good show. Um, most weeks they have more stuff that's Elite Dangerous. This week was a little light on the Elite Dangerous news, but I guarantee you next week with this stuff that we just heard yesterday, they're gonna have some stuff to say. Then the forums. There was an in-depth analysis into the price of minerals by Commander Green. Again, I have literally a page and a half on this. We're going to skip all of that because it all goes out the window now based on changes. I will say just most of the commentary on that thread, like there were many, many, many comments on it. They were all just lamenting the fact that the in-game tools seem inadequate and um, and that the modifications that were made to this whole system were not explicitly announced. That's what's been frustrating people. Um, so we have Exegius Tutorial Tuesday. He put a brand new player combat and deep core mining, a 2 hours beginner content stream. If you remember last week when he was with us, he said, that the one comment, constructive criticism that he got on his site was he didn't really have a lot of stuff for new players. Well, he's hitting that hard and he's getting information for new players to combat and new players to mining. So if you have a new player in your life that you're trying to bring into the game, introduce them to his stuff and help them get along there. Tuesday night was Lave Radio. Commander Kurgel from our Discord. It was great to hear you on there, man. He makes regular appearances, and it was good to hear him as one of the guys. And also a huge happy birthday to Commander Sovereign. So yeah, I'm not going to cover the rest of their stuff because their show is great and you've already heard it. So go, if you haven't, go listen to Lave Radio.
It's queued up. Leave me alone.
At the end of their show was the Galnet News Digest, which literally, here's Galnet News Digest. Low temperature diamonds are broken good. The Orion expedition had 5 ships self-destruct when the SRVs recalled. They were out in their SRVs. They recalled their ships to the planet, and like 5 ships just all nosedived right into the planet and exploded in front of them. And they were like, "That's odd." And they're in as he does with his dry wit, he was basically saying they're suing to get their thing back. They refused to file an insurance claim. They put in a ticket, is what he's saying, and they're getting their ships back. And he also covered the Drew Wagar lore tour, which, I mean, that's just what everybody's talking about. Drew Wagar and broken low temperature diamond and mining. That's the week. Obsidian Ant in 3306. His series 3306, he did mining credit analysis, ED tutorials, the alpha voice packs, lots of stuff about the mining thing. All of it's now out of date. But I mean, part of it, the reason why it's out of date, we were covering this. Obsidian was covering this. Down to Earth was covering this. Exegius, everyone was saying this is wrong. And as a result, I think, of the outcry of everyone in the community, they have owned up to it and said, okay, we're fixing some stuff, we're changing some stuff, we need to stay on them, that we want the amount that you have in your hold taken out, because that needs to go. Down to Earth Astronomy's Tuesday stream, he did Deep Space Chatter. He did a phenomenal 2.5 hour long stream where he was flying about in with his Colonial alt, and the whole time he was talking IRL, real world astronomy questions. He talked about Betelgeuse, he talked about Persephone, black holes, supernova, different types of exoplanets, all just everything. Go watch that. The link is in the show notes. It's 2.5 hour long. Throw it on your second screen while you're out running missions or doing whatever you're doing, taking hut and mugs places, and just listen to a great conversation about real world science that science nerds should love. Ricardo Gaming put out, what would you like changed or fixed in 2020? I'm not even going to say another word about this other than it's great stuff. The link is in the notes. Go watch it. Wednesday, Down to Earth Astronomy put out Looking for Pink Elephants. It's just a little 9-minute, 12-second video. Galactic mapping Project had been out to this planet and visited it, and it's a very different planet now. So he's got pictures of what they saw and what he saw, and I'm not going to spoil it. I'll let you see for yourself, but the planet looks very, very different from then to now. Obsidian App put out Thoughts on Space Legs. What if? It's a 10-minute video. What would be available to all, and what would just be added for purchasers of the additional content? Are there going to be special missions for Space Legs? Are there going to be boarding or ship assaults? Is there going to be space station changes? And a very cool, interesting idea, inflatable space stations with modular upgrades. This came directly from an interview that Scott Manley did with David Braben back in the day, where they were talking about the idea of filling up your ship hold, your cargo hold, with one modular thing that you like land, and kind of like how they have the concepts of building like the Mars base or whatever, and building these modular habitat type buildings on planets, and you know base building. It's a very cool idea. Um, Check out Obsidian Ant's video on that. It's very, very good. He also talks about different kinds of stores that might have just Space Legs only gear, like special clothes and weapons and whatnot. Which brings us to today, recording day. Sepulcher Geist. I trip over that guy's name. I get Sepulcher is like an ancient like church relic thing where you have bones or whatever, and Geist is a ghost. So like I get the concept, but I can never say that right. He put out a very awesome video, Extreme Gravity, landing at Strong G, which is the planet HD 148937. This is planet 3. It is literally 9.77 Gs.
Yikes.
Amazing high gravity planet. There's a very cool bio site there with anemones. Um, and just I put a link to the video. You should definitely go watch his video. But I also put an addendum to that. I put a link to a Reddit Elite Dangerous comments, like a special post. Strong G is it's notorious the high gravity planet. It's 9.77 Gs at ground level. Uh, it's just amazing. There's literally a full list of what you want to do to like land there and not blow up. It's the third planet of the HD 148937 system. It's 1,387.9 light years from Sol. The system itself has a value of 1 million credits if scanned with a detailed surface scanner, but it's worthless if you decide to, at the last minute, you're going to be one of the awesome guys that lands there. It's a huge planet. You notice this because the orbital, literally, the flight starts very, very, very far from the surface, and so many explorers have gone in there and just blown up. Like people, they're like, no, I got this. Yeah, you might not got this. There's a page long list of instructions on how you want to actually land there if you want to stay alive. Also today, Commander Burr put out his Thursday breakfast It's like breakfast, but he puts two U's and an RS, whatever. Commander Burr put out his Breakfast Club, rescuing flaming civilians on Twitch. So check that out. FDev put out their stream, EDVR, featuring Malik VR. So Paige and Steven were in. Paige was rocking it with her VR helmet, and Steven was kind of keeping the chat going and whatnot. And they were with Malik VR. They announced the whole mining post in the forums changes that we discussed earlier in that stream. They also went to the Thargoid site and they turn on that other galaxy map, that Thargoid galaxy map. It was a very cool video, very cool interview with Malik. He was the guy, the first one. He was the one that discovered the Golconda. He followed the breadcrumbs from the Galnet article, and he was the first discoverer of that. And they also discuss his whole theory where we are the aggressors versus the Thargoids, which sparked a whole conversation today in our Discord, which was good stuff. We've got the FDev post on the forums about the mining feedback that Ty already covered. That happened today. Exigeous put out a video this afternoon. What is speed bowling? There's a link that in there. He covers the whole thing. Hutton Orbital did a great show today that I actually got to catch the last half of. And in that, Commander Wotherspoon introduced a new segment on big personalities of power play of the galaxy. He started with the prismatic princess, Aisling Duvall. So check that out. And the very last thing I have is the Thargoid report. So let's see here. HIP 16813, Tegeta, Evangelist, and Lembas are the systems that are have elevated Thargoid forces have once again hit the Pleiades and Witchhead Nebula. This week, with another 4 systems coming under full incursion, the Thargoids are pushing forward with relentless attacks. In the latest wave, 3 stations have suffered significant damage. Most notably, the system HIP 16813 is the home to Sisters Refuge, a station nestled within the confines of a large asteroid. Seemingly, this station was not damaged when the rest of the system came under incursion, leaving the station in full working order. I don't know, maybe the Thargoids just don't have mining lasers or whatever. But HIP 16813 is also the closest system to come under Thargoid incursion to the bubble. We will need to keep a close eye on this, as it may be an indicator of their encroaching enemy forces. There's new incursions. The following systems have come under new incursion. This is due to insufficient Thargoid infestation forces being cleared the week prior. The system includes AX conflict zones and burning stations. So we've got HIP 16813, no burning station, but a massive Thargoid presence. Tegeta, Titan's Daughter, 1 Alliance faction burning station, massive Thargoid presence. In the Witchhead Nebula, we've got Evangelists, which is Can Relay, burning. There's 3 federal faction stations burning in there. Evangelist system, Evangelis, massive Thargoid presence. Lembas has the SAO project burning, TSAO project. It's got 3 Imperial faction stations burning there. Massive Thargoid presence. Let's see here. The Eagle Eye network is a little weird. It's not showing, it's still pending results or whatever. It's been weird for weeks. Operation Ida has repairs going on. Operation Ida is working on the following station. If you wish to help them haul some goods, it would be best to do it here. The commodities needed can be found on Galnet. Link to Ida's Discord is in the information. The Agricola's absent. So it's Agricola apostrophe S, Ascent, ASCENT. It's in the Pleiades sector, DL-Y space D65. Also, I've included the AX flight manual in the show notes. Click on that. It has a whole book of instructions on how you build an AX ship, what you want to do, what you want to go after, what kind of strategies you use, where to do what. It has all of that. We're definitely skipping Content Creator of the Week. That is it for me on Elite Week. I can finally take a break. Sorry.
Well, so for story time with Old Man Ty this week, we're going to do this a little bit different because we're going to talk about Roughneck 57's email. Now, I know you guys don't have this, but uh, I'm just going to go through it real quick. Um, so, Roughneck sent an email, and actually, come to find out, me and Roughneck are actually from the same general area, which I think is really freaking cool. But anyway, um, he said, "Hey Ty, I love your show. As a fellow guy over 40, I really appreciate your explanations of your motivations for kicking this off. I also appreciate the challenge it must be for you to overcome your introvertedness to commit to something like this. You have no idea." In the vein of constructive feedback regarding story time, first of all, I love this edition. You've given me something completely new to do in a game I've owned since launch, so thanks very much for pointing out some sites that I never would have searched for. Two, when I got this Dav's Hope this week, it was cool, but it was a little anticlimactic. I thought about it, and it occurred to me that while it was nice to ride around and read logs, I already knew it was what was in them because I listened to your show. So for an improvement to the experience, I was thinking maybe you should tell us a place to go see in Storytime. Don't give away the ending until the following week. Give us instructions to explore the place, go to system, blah 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 blah, and find X, blah 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 blah. You're right. I'm giving away. I'm giving away the ending, and this is a really good point, Roughneck. Uh, just thought totally cool if you don't want to take this if you don't want to take the approach. Anyway, thanks again for doing what you're doing. Your show has really enhanced my appreciation of the game Roughneck 57. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Originally, I had prepared a brief history of the Federation of the United States, um, but I'm going to save that for Independence Day. So we are going to go on a scavenger hunt for next week. And when we get to next week is when I will tell you everything that was actually supposed to be, or everything that you were supposed to find. And a little different,
A
I know.
blind scavenger hunt.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the system is Nefertum, Nefertem. And the planet is the sixth planet, a moon. There's something in orbit around it. Go find it. When you get there, there are 5 data points. Go listen to the data points. And next week, when you listen to the show, I will cover that and I'll give you another scavenger hunt to go through. So, yeah, that's the deal.
Love it.
Yeah, that's the deal for this week. So, that's your homework. Go do your homework. And yeah, I know I kind of changed that on the fly, guys. So sorry about that.
No, this is awesome.
Yeah. And that actually covers our emails for the week. Oh, I actually do have one other email, and Red Borg sent me an email about the science behind FSD, in that it works off of Einstein's theory of shifting your frame of reference, and gave me a video here on or the wiki link on about frame of reference. I will link this in the show notes. It's a very interesting read. Um, it's pretty cool. So thank you very much, Commander Red Borg. And I don't have anything else. Do we have anything else that I'm not aware of, gentlemen?
No, I'm all talked out. The only thing is just as a shout out that we have. What was the? Here you go for the wrap up coming soon. This Monday we got our interview is dropping with Shan that we recorded, and then the following week is Watherspoon, and we've got Souverain and some more ones that we're keeping under our hat coming up after.
Yeah. What you got going on in your life right now, Trax?
The thing I was gonna bring up, I was gonna ask if anyone would be interested in this game idea that I had, this idea for what to do in game for a while. which I thought, because there weren't any community goals or interstellar initiatives coming for a while, we were promised we would have a break from that. I'm deciding to think of it as a break. I wonder if people would enjoy watching streams slash videos of a long range explorer. I haven't done a trip to Colonia or the Galaxy Center or any of that sort of stuff. And if people who also haven't done that, or who have or something, I don't know, if anyone for any reason would enjoy watching streams of that kind of thing, then I could do it as kind of an episodic thing. With the detail that I play the game in VR, and some have mentioned that it is not fun, or perhaps even disorienting, and very much not fun to watch streams in VR. Some people contradict that, so I wanted to float it out there to the community and say, does somebody want to watch this? I don't know how long it would take. I'm not planning on, I wouldn't be planning on doing it in a super hurry. I would want to make it fun and see interesting things. I would also be doing it in an Anaconda with fighters and SRVs. So I could even have people multi-crew out with me if they wanted to ride along for a while. This kinds of things, and do fun stuff when we found things that were fun. So if that's the kind of thing people would like to see, then I would try to do what it takes to make it regular enough that it was reasonable to do as an episodic stream. But I wanted to know that kind of feedback before, because if one or two people are interested, then maybe we'll just multi-crew with those two people, and I won't worry about it. But if lots of people are interested, then it would be a cool thing to do. I've done some streaming, not a lot. I know I can do it, so I would if people are interested.
Well, mark me as a yes.
Yeah, mark me as a yes. Also, to give you an idea here, man, like I would actually like multi-crew up with you every now and then just to see some of
Yeah,
the sites that you go. I've been out that way multiple times, but there's always something else to see that I haven't seen before.
cool.
Um,
Yeah.
and also to
And
kind of give you.
I also, when I do stream it, it goes to YouTube. YouTube holds them all forever.
Hmm.
So if it doesn't have to be something that people would have to see live, because obviously there's around the globe and stuff like that. And maybe I'd try to do them at different kinds of days and times. So sometimes people could watch or multi-crew live if they're UK people and things like that. But
Right.
yeah.
So to kind of go along with this, if you're going to do this, what might be kind of a cool idea, and I just had this idea, how would you feel about like organizing like a mini distant worlds type thing? Where like, hey, every week I'm going to try to get to this
Hmm.
waypoint kind of thing, you know? Off the
Map
top
it
of my
right
head,
out.
the you could kind of follow the Colonia Highway where they have the stations like every like 5,000 light years or whatever it is. Um,
Hmm.
just like I said, just thinking off the
To
top.
use them as waypoints. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you wanted to do something like that, we could set you up a special channel inside of the Discord so you could relay waypoints and stuff to folks. So
Okay. Cool. Cool.
yeah. But anyway,
Yeah, so where, I don't know, whatever. It's post in general, or say something to me or something. Hey, I'm interested in that, and I just kind of have. I would just like to have a mental tally that, like, yeah, this is a cool thing, and or not.
yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else. Kai, do you have anything else, Bubba?
You cut out there, Ty.
Kai, I don't have anything else. Kai, do you have anything else, man?
No, I was just thinking, I want my we're talking about mottos or whatever. You got yours, everybody's got their own mottos. I want my motto to be from Bill and Ted. I want it just to be excellent to each other.
Well, that's going to be it. I think we're going to end the show here because we've been doing this for quite a while. So,
Yeah.
um, I want to say thank you to Trax for joining us. I want to say thank you to Kai for joining us. I heard back from Dravenos a little bit ago in a text, and he's having some things going on in his life. Some pretty bad things. I'm not going to bring it up, but I want to wish him the best. So I'm going to give him a call a little probably tomorrow and check in on him. So, but we'll see you guys next time.
Bye bye.
For the mug.